Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on the Corner Flag Talk podcast. Well, international football is officially over, and we will now have endless football for you guys from now until next year. And as usual, we are here to recap the latest in football. We will have Virgil join in momentarily, and thus we will start the city discourse only when he reach. So until then, I have Salek with me. Brandon, was it good, my guy?
Hello, everyone. Good to be back. Good to have like normal football return.
Yeah, this international was really interesting. It was, but like I can't get away from the boringness of it. Well, honestly, I am so sorry, but it had to be invested into it. And then we also have Daniel Pat. What's again, my guy?
Yes, blessed to be back. For all my American viewers out there, happy Thanksgiving to you and the family. Hope you all had
Real.
a blessed Thanksgiving.
Also,
We
big
do
up
we do
Serginho Dest for the Thanksgiving gift that he gave Trinidad and our red card.
Facts,
real
facts, facts, facts.
real. And I mean to be fair, we do actually have American listeners, and in fact, we 38% of our listeners are from America. So happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
All right, me and
Um,
my crew. Very
that
good.
being said, guys, we're gonna get into it. I told them man this just now, and they promised me that we'll get it, but I still put a disclaimer out there that we are intending to do a second part of this. That over the international break, it was a bit of a discourse online on like players that are world class, and so we are planning in part two for us to do our world class players in the top six in the Premier League, and which would obviously be very entertaining. However, I can't lie to y'all, I am extraordinarily tired, and this has to get edited to go tomorrow. Obviously, we're going on Sunday. And depending on how time permits, if we do it today, but even if we don't do it today, either this week or next week, it will be out there. So that being said, guys, we're gonna get into the football from this weekend. I actually realized today that we're doing this pod, and I'm doing this with three people, none of which saw the team win this weekend, which is quite something. Um, but Brandon insisted that we started with the Everton United. So Everton versus Manchester United saw possibly the goal of the season, probably a Puskas contender and a very strong one to be a winner at that. And as the Keel had say, he think that that one was better than. He said it was better than Ronaldo. It was like Ronaldo. I can't remember which one
Yeah, I
he
think
had
he said it
said.
was better, but yeah.
But I can't lie, the way that he made the arch where dog pause, the way that he hit it, dog, it was all like sublime the way that it did. And United went on to win 3-0. But I sit in the camp of I don't necessarily think that the score like, reflects how the game went. But Salik, why don't you take us away, bro?
S- well, I mean, firstly, to score a goal like that at 3 minutes into the game, unprovoked, for absolutely no reason,
It's
is up
insane.
there with some of the most some of the wildest things you'll ever see in football, especially this season. So, I mean, in terms of like the goal itself is great, but I mean, 3 minutes into the game, and the other thing I remember is Everton, the Goodison Park was rocking because they
Mm-hmm.
all about how they've been given this great injustice that's happened to them, and they were singled out for all this. And I don't think there's a better way that you could deflate an entire stadium than by doing that. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of that, I think Garnacho set the tone of the game very early. He quieted down the stadium very early on. But Everton did play really well in the first half. Like they should
Mm-hmm.
have scored at least one goal in the first half. I remember Ducore had a
Yeah,
really good chance
Corey.
that he should have scored. And United didn't look very good in the first half, apart from Garnacho's goal. The only standout performer for United was Kobe Mainu, and I think he had
Yeah,
an
boy.
excellent game. 18
Yeah,
years
boy.
old,
Honestly.
came in
Yeah.
came into the team, looked like he was been playing there for years.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in the second half, I think Everton, in trying to get something from the game, United just turned it on and they got the second, which was a penalty, and then Martial scored a very very nice goal coming down to the end, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was pretty standard in the end. It should not have been standard considering that Everton should have given more fight in this game, and they really should have
Mm-hmm.
put more out, and they probably should have at least scored one goal.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I mean, United again, and United are now, I believe, they're 6 points off first spot,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
in a season where they have been criticized nearly every week by in England on us here on the pod. They are just 6 points off the top, and they just continue to keep going. I think Ten Hag has done really well to save himself, and he's put himself in a good stand. And I think for the rest of the season at this point.
Yeah, I have nothing. I agree with everything you say. This, Brandon, Daniel. You have anything to add?
Um, no, not really. I mean, personally, I don't know that hot take, but I just thought United was going to win this game. I thought they were the favorites, given the fact that they've just been in decent form, especially good defensive form, and generally saying, when United does catch form, is right for like 5, 6, 7 games. So yeah, I thought they were going to win the game. Thought it was going to be comfortable, and they did win, and it looked comfortable. So yeah, I guess that's about it.
The reason that I don't agree with that is that even though they have been winning, they have spent a lot of those games, riding their luck, and they continue to do that even today. And at some point, that does tend to come home to roost. And on top of that, given everything that we know that has transpired with Everton off the field, um, that is something that I expected and a lot of people expected to impact how Everton did play. And to be fair, I do think that the first half it did transmit that way. It's just that it did not transpire into a goal. But I do think that especially second half United will improve. I thought, as Brandon already said, that Kobe Mino was a standout performer. But even outside of him, Onana has improved these last few games, and he now actually has the joint most clean sheets in the league. Um, I thought that Maguire has continued his good run of form, and this was the
He's good
first
there.
start that we saw for Luke Shaw for the season. And I also thought Luke Shaw had a pretty good game. Like those four players, I thought were really key in United. Ironically, I called three defensive players, but four defensive players, sorry, but three and a midfielder in a game where they won 3-0, which to me then does says like the kind of story of how the game itself went. Um, Everton did miss a lot of chances, and we didn't do a pod since. But Brandon, you have anything you want to say about the Everton points deduction? If it was unfair, if it is that you think that they'll still survive, that kind of stuff.
Well, I don't think it's unfair because they did admit to the charges, and they did say that they did do what they accused of doing. So I mean, in terms of of it being fair or anything, it's also obviously fair because like if you admit to it and whatever. The only problem with it is that Everton admitting to it was to make sure that it wasn't a worse punishment, and on
Yeah,
top of that, it just shows that if you do 100 corruption as opposed to one corruption, it's better to do the 100 than to do the one,
yeah,
because it will take longer for them to find the 100 than to find a
you
one,
won.
or
Yeah,
115 in certain cases, if you know what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah,
But the other thing I want to say about the Everton thing is that I feel like Everton really missed a huge opportunity today,
yeah. I
because
think so
they
too.
could have they could have this could have been, when things like this happen to you and as fans, as players and whatever, you really have to like come together as a team and like as a collective and really try and get yourself out of the situation that you're in. And I still think Everton can get out of this, and they could probably survive as well. But if they continue to like disappoint in these types of ways, I'm not seeing them getting out of it. But
Yeah.
in terms of like how this affects everything going forward, like it's huge. And I know we haven't talked about it, but in terms of it being a monumental moment, like this is where every team from now on is going to be punished.
Mm-hmm.
This is the start of it all, and it's unfortunate that it was Everton was first, but it just proves that the Premier League is serious about doing these things. And moving forward, we had to expect other teams to get it whenever they do things like this.
I mean, at the end of the day, I believe that that is what we should want, right? We should want that there is these rules to allow a certain level of financial accountability, and we want teams to be able to operate in those parameters that are set for all. And I mean, for those who aren't familiar, they were what happened is that they went over their limit of losses they were allowed to report, and they made claims of stuff like COVID affected them and stuff like that. But like I mean, it affected everybody, right? And so that's how they got their charges. However, um, as you rightfully said, it does set a precedence now going forward as to like okay, well, if we willing to deduct points for one charge, and the thing is, I know football has made us numb to the actual value of figures and stuff. So I'm about to say that they only went over their limit by only 19 million, which is still $19 million, right? It's still a lot of money. But that isn't that big when you consider the kind of money that does be transpired and stuff like that. And that resulted in a 10-point deduction. However, um, even though it might not be the same, I think we should also remember what took place in Italy last summer with Juventus, where Juventus were actually docked 15 points at first, and then they actually got the 15 restored, and then they actually got deducted afterwards. I believe it was 10 the second time around. And so that doesn't necessarily mean like this is the be all and end all. We could see this that they argue it a bit to try and re get back some of those points, may not be as harsh, but there's been a dangerous precedent. Sorry, not dangerous, but there's been a precedent that they are setting, especially when it comes to a team like City that has 115 charges. Then, if they could do this for one charge, what they could be looking to do at 15. But anything to add on that?
No, I think all more or less spot on there. I would say that it's a fair charge, just a little harsh, but fair because yeah, they admitted it, so they admit that crime. I guess some kind of punishment, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Pats United are now on 5 wins in their last 6 games in the league. And against what myself and Brandon have warned people about as sources of goals. Martial is actually proven to be a source of goals apparently as well. They are finding ways to win, even though they might not be at their best. They are now actually at the start of an extremely tricky run. Most notably this week coming here, they have a do or die game against Galatasaray, and then next weekend they actually have to play Newcastle, who obviously we'll talk about a little later. Do you see this being like a platform that they can carry on, or how you feeling about it?
It's going to be tough, but I think this is a pivotal time for them in the season, and they need to treat it as such. I wouldn't even be surprised if Ten Hag say, forget our whole Champions League business. We're trying to focus on the league here, considering where they are at in the league, and the Champions League, they already have a foot out the door. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if come midweek, the performance is not
Would
that
that be
great. And
acceptable
then,
though?
huh?
Would that be acceptable though for him to write out the Champions League? Because again, I just playing devil's advocate a little bit here. They have a new minority shareholder who a big part of buying into Man United is that they are a club of a certain stature. And is it okay to accept defeat to leave the Champions League when there's still a chance to go through?
Um, I think it would be acceptable if they accept defeat. Like, I think it would be okay if I'm not saying go and play the youths on Wednesday or Tuesday, whatever it is, but I think it would be okay if they lost that game. Acceptable to who? I'm not sure too much about the question. If you're saying acceptable to the shareholders, that's different to acceptable to the fans.
Oh,
Personally,
it is
as
acceptable to the fans.
acceptable to the fans, yeah, I think the fans will be okay with it, considering the history of the club over the last like 3, 4, 5 years. I think they will be okay with it. I think they could forgive Ten Hag if they come out with. Let's check the fixtures
Okay.
because I know Newcastle, but
Galatasaray, Newcastle, then Chelsea as the next three.
That's the next immediate ones, yeah. And then
Yeah.
after that, they
so
have
if they come out with 4 points versus Chelsea and Newcastle and lose to Galatasaray, personally I'll be okay with that. Honestly, 'cause I think that's a good standing in the league. 4 points from those are two hard games, boy. Chelsea
and
and Newcastle are hard games.
in my
Um,
opinion, that's when they started the run too, because like after those two, then it's not so hard. They had a host Bournemouth, but then after they go to Anfield, then they go to West Ham, then they host Aston Villa, then they go to Nottingham Forest, then they host Spurs, in the next year,
yeah,
then they have to visit Wolves, then host West Ham again, then visit Aston Villa. Like that is
right.
a serious stretch there.
And among all of that, I mean, we're going into the December period now where sooner or later they're going to be playing on the weekend and during the week, then weekend and during the week. I would understand if Ten Hag wanted to write off the Champions League. That to me, it's understandable. Given that again, they already have a foot out the door, they have not been performing well in that group. yeah, if he wants to write it off, if he wants to sacrifice that to pay attention to the league, especially given that there are some players back now, I think it's understandable. We can't really argue that. And Barcelona did that about 2 years ago, and as a fan, I accepted it. I don't know how the shareholders felt about it, but as a fan, I was fine. So yeah, I think it's acceptable if that's the play. It probably isn't though, to be honest. He probably
I
not going
mean,
to do that,
I
but
can't lie. I think like this is, and again, like we are aware of what United's stature is as a club and what is to be expected now. I am also aware of like what it should be realistic for them as well. And to be fair, they aren't playing well, and they're 6 points off top. So then now, what
mhm.
becomes realistic for them this season could still be Champions League football come the end of the
Yeah.
season, right? Because they are well positioned for that now. But I think that under Ten Hag, we have had a lot of instances where we have allowed some of the standards in quote unquote the sake of progress to drop for certain things. You know, like for example, he went last year and not a single win against the top half of the table, and against any away games, right? And that included some extremely bad results, right? You know, like the 6-3, the 4-0 to Brentford, the 7-0 against Liverpool. And then now this season has been going as well. And then we're now talking about that the first time he's in Champions League, we're writing it off where like, okay, yeah, Bayern is Bayern. That's valid. But then now you're coming out of it where, yeah, you sure you had Bayern as your favorites, but then now they are sitting last after 4 days. And so then now
Mhm.
we're talking about accepting that that is just what it is. And we take that and go. And if it is that we think that last season was a decent season for United, which, even being pessimistic, I think that that could be accepted as a premise. Then now this season then feels like if at the very best, then you're accepting some form of stagnation in terms of standards or regression, and if you're a little bit more pessimistic than that.
I mean, the only thing that I could say about that though is that the time to quote unquote accept would have been like a whole month ago then in terms of the Champions League.
Mm.
Because yes, they are at the bottom of the table, but they only have 2 games left, right? Um, it is a little late to try to correct the ship, if you see what I'm trying to say.
It's still in
Versus,
their hands to go through.
mhm, if what?
It's still in their hands to go through.
I don't know if it's in their hands, but it's possible. It's still possible for them to go through. I'm not so sure about in their hands. But what I'm watching though is this, right? The league is there. They are 6 points off top. They are not going to finish top, but they could finish fourth, right? The December period is always an extremely pivotal part of the Prem for all clubs because that's where we see the most injuries, we see the most complaints. It is just the worst time for playing football. It is the most intense. And now, speaking about intensity, if you were to go to a do or die game on Wednesday, and then you have to play Castle on the weekend, and Castle is one of the most
At
physically
Castle
demanding
too, eh?
games out there. It is
At
one of the
Castle
most
is
physically
bad.
demanding games. You know what I mean? So I'm just not so sure if they have the capacity to deal with all that right now
Right.
with a thin
Oh,
squad.
that I agree with, and I'm gonna let Brandon come in here. This is the last thing I had before he could come in, right? I agreed with everything you actually say. They're just not in a pot. But then here's my issue. Then what's the point then of, because like at no point am I saying that like, oh, they should so prioritize Wednesday and like write off Newcastle Wednesday. But the point of being a club at this level is balancing the two. And then another point of being a club at this level is that you have to find a way to try to succeed in both at the same time. Now it's not only them that is struggling with that, obviously Newcastle as well. But what we accepted with Newcastle from the day of the draw was that this was always going to be a very tough ride for them regardless. And even though that they don't have a great point total for themselves in the Champions League, Newcastle did well to give a decent account of themselves for a club that is returning there for the first time in 20 something years. Whereas United has, been in and out, and trying to find that stability of being in the Champions League a little bit more consistent, being in the round of 16 a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, I mean, but I just feel like now is two different questions. Because if the question was, is it acceptable to write off the upcoming Wednesday? I think it's acceptable. But if the question is, Has the performance been acceptable? Yeah, I could see how it hasn't been. You know what I mean?
No,
But it's two different
like
questions
I
though.
phrase it bad then. I meant like if we writing up Wednesday has been acceptable, then to me, what we also accepted in the process is that it was okay that they were unable to perform well enough in the Champions League given the group that they had.
I don't think is one and the same. I
Yeah,
think
that's fair.
on a whole, their performance has been bad in the Champions League. But
Hmm.
given the situation now, they're in a bit of a sinking ship. And if I were the captain of a ship that was sinking, rather than just jump in the freezing water and die, right? I think I would want to jump in the boat instead, the little lifeboat. So I'm saying that lifeboat could be the Prem. Let's jump on that.
But
Forget
would
about
you
the
let the
ship.
women and children board the boat first, though? Or you going
If I
first?
would let the women and children board the boat first,
And then watch Titanic, boy.
before
Well,
me,
I'm trying to figure out, yeah.
no, I will board the boat first. As the captain, I will get on the boat, okay, save myself, and then whoever else want to join could join,
Right.
as long as it have enough room. But who don't make it, I am sorry. I am leaving without you.
Um, cool. I know I get what I do get the point though. Like I was
Yeah,
point. And
yeah.
that honestly, dog, that is fair. Most of what I'm saying was genuinely trying to play a little devil's advocate,
No,
right?
that's fine.
But I think that's fair. Brandon, you have anything to add on that though in terms of possibly accepting defeat on Wednesday for United and stuff like that?
So I don't think they're going to do that. I think Ten Hag is actually going to go for the game because
Yeah.
I think United have the perfect opportunity here to spoil everybody's expectation of what they're going to do in the Champions League. So if they beat
Mm,
Galatasaray and if they beat Bayern, because they have to play Bayern at home, which I think could be used to their advantage. Because if I'm not mistaken, they have they. So the other thing we have to remember too is that Newcastle are also playing this week, and they're also in a do or
yeah,
die
do or die
situation.
game, yeah. And they have more
So
injuries.
yeah, so this is a situation where Ten Hag needs to look at everything that's going on and be like, yes, this is probably the best opportunity because you're basically gonna play Newcastle at their I don't want to say weakest, but they are very vulnerable right now in the sense that they have a lot of injuries and they're going to be playing midweek. And the midweek game is an important game, and they're going to be using their main players to play that game. And then
Yeah.
they're going to use those same players to play on the weekend as well.
Mm,
So until if you're looking at it that way, I don't see I don't think there's much of a trade off here. Like in my opinion, he has to go for both games, and I don't agree with the fact that I don't think this is acceptable for a club like United, and I don't think they accept it either. Which is why I
yeah.
think they're going to go for it, and I think they're going to give it as much of a go as possible. The thing also is that Rashford is not available for the game on Wednesday, and he is available for the Newcastle game. So I mean, if you're looking at it that way, that is a different dimension that they have
Is
for
Anthony
the Newcastle
available?
game. I don't even know, but
I don't know.
he probably wouldn't play him, probably play history or something. But yeah. So I think United are in a good place right now to try and go to Istanbul. I know it's a very difficult thing to do, but I think they're going to go and give it a hard try because they have nothing else to do. They have nothing to lose. If they lose, they out. If they win, they have another chance. So
Yeah.
go fearless.
That's fair.
Um, Virgil, I know you're just joining.
Yo,
Thanks as always. We were just actually wrapping up the United and Everton discussion. We left the City Liverpool for a new game,
mhm.
which we'll go into that just now. But in terms of the United, Everton, and United and the whole and stuff like that, do you have anything you want to add to it before we move on?
The only thing I will always add on United is, you know, looking at it from looking at it from
You want to say, as I will always add it.
looking at United from a mid-table, lower position in the table type of team. This is big for them. This is big for them because against I get because you know what, we need to just remind me because maybe the viewers can help me remind myself. Everton sit way in the league, boy. Everton is like
Last. It is
19th.
19th,
last. So,
19th.
19, sorry, 19,
oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay, okay,
yeah.
okay. So yeah, so just like when my team played 19 place team, I always tend to find a lot of positives that could impact my season going forward. 'Cause again, at the end, United playing a game which is considered a big game for them. They put a big team performance in their eyes. So the
I love
only thing
Virgil.
I want to add,
Yes, I love
only thing I
Virgil.
want to add for United is this is something that they have to build off on. So maybe when they go to the 12th place team, they could win convincingly, or when they go up against a top four team, they could probably put up a challenge. And I just want to say,
No,
as
1 minute.
as a join,
I agree with this
and we talking about Anthony. If we in the if we in the likes of what game week, we already passed game week 10, and we still talking about having Anthony as an option, then
We bad.
you know
We don't bad.
yeah, then things a little bad. But I can't really speak on a team in that position. So I just said for United, it's a good win, 3 points on the board, but it's something. Let's hope they build off it. Let's hope they build United build off this.
Last thing, guys, before we move on, I cannot believe we actually managed to make it. You see, this is why I tell you I'm not sure we're gonna do part two. We make a 20-minute conversation out of United versus Everton. Last thing before we move on, Rashford get a Harvard spin. Do we think that's gonna benefit them going forward? Yes or no?
I'm glad you describe it like that, and nobody else describe it like
Yeah.
that. I'm glad you say that.
Nah, I can't see a
Oh,
pity pen benefit in here.
yeah.
Personally, I don't understand it, Like that whole pity pen thing, I actually don't get it. I don't believe that scoring a penalty is what does invigorate a man to go and score 20 goals for the
Yeah,
season. I just
Well,
couldn't, I would never understand that.
that's true.
well, I mean,
Well,
Rashford put
to be
on like
fair,
a
dog,
1 out of 10
uh,
performance today. Yes,
yeah, dog. Like, and I was
No,
going
but
to
he's
say
got a pen
even
number, so
after
he
the
put on
pen,
about 10.
that he
even
won. Does he won?
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
like
that was the
even
one?
Yeah.
even after the pen hit, dog, he was bad.
Shit.
Like it's not like to say like after he scored the pen, he was like, okay, he can be himself. Dog, the man was just terrible after that. To be fair, though, I have seen men score pen after long ducks and then after that go on to score a
Not
pen.
a pity pen though. Not a pity pen though. It's different. I've never seen someone who don't normally take the pens for their club get one, and then all of a sudden after that, 10 goals a season, 15 goals for the
Yeah,
season,
but
air
Have
assists.
I have an instance like that, but I will tell it off camera because Salik will
Nah, it's in no more.
help me down if I say it
Nah.
publicly. But that being said, we can move on now that we have Virgil. Like, we talk about Liverpool versus City. Um, I not going to add anything more to that. Virgil, I genuinely want to hear your perspective on how this game went because somehow I do feel it is similar to mine, but I want to hear it from you. What was your thoughts on the game, Virgil?
well,
First game back from international break, by the way,
yeah.
to reopen the season.
Well, it was a end-to-end game, honestly, from both sides. But for something from me, I just felt like it was disappointing, not from just City, but from both sides. Obviously I feel like we probably spoiled from how much this match just live up to. So maybe that's what I feeling. But honestly, from this
Mm-hmm.
game, there was so much moments like I could analyze and say, okay, City had this bright spot and Liverpool has bright spot because again, you have, like for example, I will look at the likes of if I highlighting one, look at the likes of Doku up against Trent. I feel like that was a great battle to see Doku against Trent, and even for how City decided, okay, they realized a weak point, in the opposition, and they said, okay, let's try to exploit that. And then they had Bernardo and Doku on the same wing that they was getting making the chances from. So that was something good to see. But at the same time, you see Liverpool pop up again, the same guy that people said was at fault for the first goal for City's goals, pop up and get the equalizer. So it's a very strange one to look at because to me, I just feel like both teams weren't at their best, but at the same time, I'm not disappointed. I'm not disappointed by the result, because I feel like to say I feel like we could have come out and get much more than reserve from that game. That really would downplay Liverpool performance, honestly.
Cool. Brandon, how you felt about the game,
Um,
bro?
so from a neutral's point of view, this game was awful to watch.
I
It was not very. It was
Terrible,
not very.
honestly.
It was not very exciting. What I did think about the battle, what I did think about the game is that I feel like it again showed a lot of problems with both teams, and City's problem again for me is that Liverpool were able to call on a lot of players that eventually changed the game. So I think when Gravenberch came on, that really changed the game a lot. And this is something I talked about before earlier in the season, that I think City's greatest strength is now being exposed, that other teams now have the depth that they used to have,
Mhm.
and
Mm.
the teams are able to call upon these players to come off the bench and do jobs for them. So like I think, like if you look at the goal that Liverpool scored, Gravenberch and Luis Diaz are heavily involved in the goal, and both of them came on.
Yep.
So I mean, looking at it from that perspective is good. Again, I mean, from Liverpool's perspective, their weaknesses again are like the midfield, the lack of a CDM again is an issue. People like to talk about Trent's defensive issues, but I mean, when you're coming up with a big goal like that, I mean, you could probably overlook it
He
and
now has
look past it.
22 goals and assists versus the top six. That's
Yeah, he does,
insane.
which is really crazy. It's more than like a lot of players. I saw that
Passionate.
the list of players. I mean, more than Saka as well. So calm down. But
Yeah, but Saka
yeah.
is 21, bro.
All right, yeah, calm down. They both one Kasaka playing right wing, Trent does play right back all his life. But
Yeah.
don't worry.
That's
Yeah.
not
But
all
anyway,
playing left back though, but okay.
yeah, but he playing right wing for the past three
Right. But
seasons though. But
man,
don't
man
worry.
get a boost in
Yeah,
position and okay, I'm not saying I'm
yeah,
not saying
and so,
anything.
yeah, exactly. But anyway, but
Any of
moving
these
away
football
from the
needs
Rabs,
call your clubs?
moving away from the Rabs. I don't think City played very well. I don't think Liverpool
Same.
played very well.
Yeah.
But in terms of two, as somebody described it on the commentary, and I was like, when two heavyweight fighters decide to like not slug it out, and they decide
Mm.
to look for a decision at the end of the day, that's how it looked.
Mhm.
And I think Pep coming down to the end, Pep looked like he was happy with the draw, which I think says a lot about the performance from Liverpool coming down to the end of the game.
Mm. But
Um, I was very excited going into this game, which is why I woke up at 7:30 to witness the performance. The main reason that I was excited was because when City played against Chelsea, mm, I feel like my mic might be working too good, but I'll
no,
try
no,
and
we
move it
hear
a
you
little
now.
bit.
We hear
We
you
hear you
going
Oh,
good.
good.
okay, okay. When City played against Chelsea, I remember commenting that I honestly think Pep treated the game as an experiment, right? I don't think he respected Chelsea as a club at all and felt like, okay, we're going to beat these guys, and even if we don't, so what? They are never going to win the league. So let's go out there and have some fun and try a couple things and just try to open up and play football, right? Cool. Going into the Liverpool game, I was very excited to see how he was going to treat this game, and I think that this is his version of respecting an opponent. I think
Mm.
City did what they usually try to do. They try to keep the ball as much as possible, not take too many risks, not open up. I think the defensive shape was about as close to last season as it possibly gets, um, with that WM. Um, I think Akanji played in the midfield this time. He was not too adventurous, and I completely agreed with going with Akanji. Wasn't sure if Stones was fit, but I think even if Stones was fit, this is too much of a big game for a guy that's now coming back from injury. So completely agreed with going with Akanji and not going with Gavardiol. I think that was a big call as well. But again, you go with the experience in Ake. So from a tactical point of view, I was really happy to see that Pep showed that he respects Liverpool, and I think the performance kind of showed that as well. I honestly think that Brandon's analogy of the heavyweights is the best way to describe this game. Now, from a fan's point of view, it was real boring to watch, like real boring. I don't really fall asleep during games that much, but I was definitely falling asleep during this one, especially since it was the morning, the early kickoff.
My
Now,
face to sleep, boy.
I honestly like the some of the most enjoyment that I got from this game was watching Alisson mess up. You don't really get to see that too often, and he make about 5 blunders, so that was fun. Um, Haaland scored against a top four team, so that was fun. And Trent's goal was fantastic, so that was really good too. And I love to watch Gravenberch play. I've liked him since Ajax, and it didn't work out at Bayern, but I was excited when he came to Liverpool. Thought he was gonna be the new Wijnaldum, and I feel like he's on course to be that guy. I think he should be starting in this team, regardless of who's fit and who isn't. He should be starting.
Ooh, I like
Um,
that.
Uh,
and yeah, it was a boring game, but tactically can't really complain. I think Pep got the job done.
Um, ooh, I was about to say I agree with everything on this say, and then you said get the job done.
No,
Cause
that's some
I don't
other
necessarily know
comment
if
on
I,
that too.
I agree with that now. Because what I would say is that I mean, look, at the end of Liverpool, I'm correct. I did agree with how he
Mm.
respected Liverpool, and I do think you do see the differences. When it's a team that he is aware of how potent they could be in ways that they could hurt themselves when they do play too open. And I think that tactically Pep got this spot on. And for large portions of the game, you saw the little differences in quality that has City where they are, and Liverpool probably just a little bit off for them. And I think one of the biggest examples of how this might be a little harsh because I do think it is harsh about how like Nunez had get slipped through, messed up his feet, and couldn't really get his shot off in 1 minute, and then literally a minute later, Haaland gets one, a half chance, and puts it away. Admittedly, Allison probably should do better there, but puts it away there. And then from there, I think City had a really good platform to then now go and make it 2-0 and had opportunities to do that. Doku got around Trent numerous times in that game, and both probably are lacking end product from Doku or finding somebody or lack of players getting into the box to get on the end of these things. And at 1-0, they constantly left themselves. Like we say this all the time, right? When big teams play small teams, that when it's only 1-0, you leave yourself open to a sucker punch. And Liverpool put together a really good counter, and then Trent obviously got on the end of it. And then you're looking at a 1-0 game. Now, what where I do agree that Pep probably seemed happy at the end of the game was that I think he is aware of things that Liverpool have not just done in the past but done this season, where they get back one goal and then the next goal coming after that. And I think that he would have been relieved not to experience that in the end because I don't know if you remember, but at like the literally the last play before the whistle blew, they put the ball into Luis Diaz, and if he was a little bit more away and he had passed it backward, like Salah was waiting right behind him, and Edison had come off his line to meet Luis Diaz, Salah had the whole goal open after then, you know,
Mm.
to score. And then you're looking at they running away 2-1 from the Etihad after a not great performance by Liverpool. And I mean, this is not the first time that we have seen Liverpool return from an international break and admittedly play the early kickoff and not be at their best. And I think that there would be some ways that Pep probably felt like if he did not get the result that the way that he planned out the game probably deserved. I don't know how y'all feel about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess, but also from what Patrick mentioned, that I want to comment on. The last thing Patrick said, what felt like Pep got the job done. The reason why I agree with that because it literally felt like that, and it feels like this in some of these games. It feels like with Liverpool looking at the position on the table, he looking at it like, okay, we still above Liverpool. Pep seemed like he was okay to get a job done. Made no subs. The Liverpool used all five of their subs. Mind you, on City's bench, we have 8 players on the bench. 6 of them are defenders. But it just honestly seemed that for Pep, it seemed like going up against Liverpool sometimes on certain teams like this, he's be okay to just get that point if it just means okay we could stay above
Mm.
them. Because I'll be richer. From going into the season, I was much more worried playing Newcastle and playing Brighton. And it seemed for those games, those high intense games, when we left, we went what St. James. I'm not sure if we played it, but I just know we left that game 1-0. That game was cagey. The scoreline may show 1-0, but that game was cagey. Brighton 2-1. That game was cagey. The Arsenal game, we understand, rightly so, it left there. But I still felt up until that moment before that goal happened from Arsenal, that Pep would have been so content with a 0-0. It literally felt like that.
Mm.
And I literally feel that is what Pep's plan is. Pep doesn't seem like okay, he wants to push the players into this next gear because it seems that okay, he feels like the league kind of in our control. We are the ones to beat. So let's just keep them at arm's length. Let all we could do, everybody else, we could make sure and get our 3 points off them, and let's hope that they drop points. Because I'll be so real.
Mm-hmm.
If this game went 1-1 in that minute against Brentford, Pep was throwing this thing. He was putting everybody on. We were to see a change of formation. It just seemed after a while, Pep was like, all right, cool, all the men stay there, just don't lose the game. So that's what I get upset with. And it's literally seem I could look at what Pep and I could what Patrick say. It literally seems to Pep is like, yeah, job done.
Fair.
And the thing is, I think fans would
I
get
do agree there
upset
though.
on
I
the
agree.
day. They would get upset on the day, but come the end of the season when they
Yeah,
lift the
Yeah.
trophy
exactly.
again, I don't think anyone is going back to be like, but that Liverpool game though, should I win
Exactly.
that?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But
I think it was okay. And on top of that, dog, when Pep goes back into the dressing room, what does he even complain about? I mean, tactically they were fine. The goal they conceded was like a pot shot from distance. Good
He was in the
finish,
box
cool.
though.
But huh?
He
He
was
wasn't
in the
like on
box
top of the
though.
box. Nah, he wasn't in the
Nah,
box. He was in the
he
box.
had to take a
No
step.
way he was in the box.
I am a 99% sure.
Okay, let's say 18 yards out, right? On the line.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't think there's anything that Pep complains about this morning or tomorrow in training or whatever. I don't think. I think honestly, he just tells the boys, look, good game, tough on the goal, come out with a point. We look again towards Wednesday.
Yep.
Honestly, I think that's the mentality right now until
I,
about January or
and
February.
what's the thing? I agree with Daniel on that point because I think that there's nothing that Pep could have done
No, right, but
better
I wasn't saying this
in
about
the game.
Pep. I was saying
No,
this
no, no. I
about
know.
the
I'm
players.
making a separate point. I'm making a
Okay.
separate point that I think that what Pep did, like, and this, I just wanted. I'm glad nobody said this because I wanted to say this. That Pep did an excellent job of neutralizing Liverpool.
Mm,
Like, that's the
Hmm.
best way to work it because Trent was moving into the midfield and he was completely neutralized. And apart from the Trent part, Ake had Salah in his back
yep.
pocket for
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
game, right? And I want to give Ake a lot of credit because he played really well. I think this is, I'm not sure if Virgil could tell me if I'm wrong, but I think this is his first game back from injury.
Uh,
And
yeah.
he played really, really well, holding down Salah. But what Klopp did and what Pep was not able to deal with was when Klopp made these changes coming down to the end of the game, Klopp literally was able to change the game in like about a 20-minute span, and Pep had control for the game for 70 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So that's the kind of these are the teams that we're looking at right now. Like Pep can control the majority of the game. Klopp is a master of winning a game in a short space of time, and that's the best. That's the best way and the best compliment I could pay to both of these teams that they did excellently at what they were good at, and a
Hmm.
1-1 at the end of the day is probably the most fair result.
True.
That
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I didn't
but
even think about it like that.
then again, right? I don't know if this even makes sense, but at the end of the day, right? Football is not about fair result, right? And if it is your team was on top for um 70 minutes of the game, then like to not have done enough to come out with the 1-1 and not Pep. Like I said this before, I think he did excellently tactically, but like he did enough to put these players into a position where they could go on and to score, another one, and even another one probably on top of that. Because like the way that the game was going, like until I totally agree with the point Brandon has made, and I have said this before too that I don't think City depth is all the way there. Like I think a lot of times it's depth in one player could cover multiple positions or multiple roles or stuff like that. Until those subs was made, we're looking at a scenario where like none of we thought Liverpool was gonna get anything from the game because of how the game was going. And then now to only have one in that means like you leave so much out there then for the result to turn on you. And now the thing is, right, I kind of fight in a dead point here because at the end of the day, 5 out of the last league titles Pep get, right? And so getting these draws is all good. Cause as long as he keeps winning the league. Based on the history, that is kind of what's gonna keep going to happen. But then now, I wonder then now if it is a case of that we actually do have a 3 horse race this season, then if that could be somewhere that could bite him then, where that you don't take the opportunities when you have them, especially at home, to take those points straight off of your rivals then.
Well, John, the way you're kind of phrasing this part of it, I feel like you're not giving Liverpool a lot of credit here. You just said that it might be a three horse race, and you're not really giving Liverpool credit for fighting for this point that they ended up winning. Like I
Mhm.
see it more as they earned a point rather than City losing 2 points,
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
because this,
Yeah.
fair.
like it's not, it's this is like, we put City up on the pedestal because they deservedly, probably they deserve that, right? But at the end of
Yeah.
the day, Liverpool, if Liverpool went to the Etihad and took a point away from them, like Klopp
Hmm.
is extremely happy with that
Mm-hmm.
point. And at the end of the game, Pep was happy with the point. That tells you exactly how the game went. And for me, like, we need to give Liverpool a lot of credit for this, because, as you say, this is a three horse race. It's looking like it's going to be one of the times where we have three teams going all the way to the end. And,
Hmm.
I almost feel like you're not giving them enough credit for this. And I get focusing too much on the fact that City had chances and they didn't win the game. But you're talking about one of the best teams in the league as well. It's not
Yeah,
like they played.
fair.
It's not like they
Yeah.
played Chelsea, for example. Like this is Liverpool we're talking about, and like this, that you had to look at it that way. Liverpool deserve a lot of credit for what they did in that game.
No, I
Yeah,
agree.
I think
I think is a big thing that they did get a point out of this game, right? But like I remember, like on the day we was talking while the game was going on, right? And like even Yuan was complaining about how clumsy and lethargic that they were looking. And I mean, some of that they can't help because of players that travel far. And I mean, we could get into more individual stuff like how McAllister didn't have a good game playing at alone six and stuff like that.
Okay.
But for a fan of Liverpool to be able to say that and how we saw the game going, for City to then now know that that's the kind of performance again from Liverpool, because this might not have been the Liverpool we'd have see if it was a week later, not the game right after the international break. I would have, the way I watched it is like, is actually out of respect for what Liverpool can do and what they have been doing this season, despite all the underlying metrics saying what they're saying and about all the concerns people claim that have been having about them, including myself, that they keep winning. They can't. They just keep winning over and over because of they have the best attack in the league. They have the best attacking quintet in the league, um, and out of respect for that,
Liverpool. Liverpool has the
yeah,
best attacking league.
I think so. I
Mm-hmm.
mean I don't mean that like statistically or whatever. I mean in terms of like how I regard their players
You mean in terms of
comparing.
players, right?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. I don't mean like necessarily goal scored or whatever like that, but in terms of having obviously Salah and Darwin and Jota and Gakpo and Luis Diaz and stuff like that. And the way I am watching it then now is that you get handed then a little olive branch of playing them right after the international break. Admittedly, obviously, they have players come back from international break as well. But knowing that Liverpool, something they start slow after international break and their performances aren't the best, and given how the game had transpired, that it was probably a missed opportunity to get a win. Now the thing is, in the past, when Liverpool and City face off in these games, draws tend to have always been enough for City to then still go on and win the league. You know, but
You don't think it was a missed opportunity for both teams, though?
I think it was a missed opportunity when Klopp changed the game. Because then now after that now,
Mm-hmm.
I think that Liverpool had opportunities then to go and sucker punch them all the way, not just for the
Yeah,
1 point.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
You know,
But I even think from the first minute to the 90th minute, that is probably one of the most. I think this performance from City was worse than the Chelsea performance,
Oh
huh?
yeah.
I
And I don't think
agree.
the Chelsea performance was very
Definitely.
I
good.
agree.
So I think both teams will look at it and say, "Damn,
Mm-hmm.
we probably played them at their worst,
Yeah.
and we only got
Mm.
a point each."
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Um,
That's how I think it. That's how I think it looked to me.
But John,
Maybe
respect.
it is I giving it too much credit,
No, but
but
respect
I
to
feel
what.
like I would have feel like that. Tell me.
No, but I'm saying, but respect to what you bringing up. You literally sung in from the point of view of a City fan. You basically
Mm.
describing the City way. That is literally the reason why I and like everything what you're saying, like what you say and what Patrick brought up, is literally like it's nothing new for me. Is this is exactly this. You'll watch a game like this,
Mm.
and we could sit down here and say City dominate for 70 minutes, and you look at it, you'll be like whatever. I will sit down and I'll watch over these games times when if I'm bored or whatever. I watch over like full extended highlights. My watch over like the full game, and you will always pick up moments and you'll be like, if it was a different team, and if Pep was not being Pep, we would have go for the truth. And even if you look back for City previous seasons, when they felt that Liverpool was always one up in them, they were playing a much different game. We looking all the way back to that 2-1 win, that 2-1 soccer point when Sane do it. Those players felt like they had something to
Mm.
prove. Those players literally was going in that game with aggression. The only time I actually see that aggression is when we play in Arsenal. That's the only time I've been seeing that from that Arsenal game. They were there, and you can see how the players were upset from that. And obviously, well United, because
Mm-hmm.
United is more of like a just trying to we just trying to have fun and make and run up the score basically. But from but from
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
but from that, you're literally watching that, and you could say, okay, you could look at it from a fan point of view, after a neutral point of view, and say, you understand. City didn't do enough. Liverpool didn't do enough. It's a fair result. That's everything. And end the season, it will shape up. But from a City fan point of view, and everything you're saying, we are making it unnecessarily difficult than it needs to be. We literally making it more difficult for ourselves because it's something that we're
Mm.
going to now look back when we in February, in March. We're going to look back and be like, wait, if we had 2 points, if Liverpool wasn't this close to us. So you're going to look at moments and be like, that aggression from City is not there. And I honestly know, I could sit down here and know why, because from what I mentioned earlier. But that what you
Mm-hmm.
literally describing is the viewpoint of all City fans right now. You're looking at that game and it's like, you dominate for so long, you allow that to happen. If that game had 20 more minutes, Liverpool getting our 3 points for sure, and that's literally
And I think so
that's how
too.
it plays out.
And and all that adds into me thinking like, yeah, this it wasn't good enough in the end. Also, on top of it too, this is on the back of drawing a game before too. So there is 2 games in a row where City drop points. And all that is where I say that I don't think it's good enough. Pat, last minute, if you want to add something on this before we could do a little bit more individual talk on these players and stuff, I'll probably project a little bit too if needed.
Oh, you giving him a chance to talk now? Okay, yes, yes. No, no, no. I thought it was the way you finished. I thought you had like more, and then I was coming in after. But yeah. Um, the only thing that I would say about that, or the last thing that I would say about that, is that I don't think that Pep is going to regret these 2 points at any point across the
Mhm.
season. Couple reasons why. Come February, I'm gonna say February, but from around February, if City are on top of the league, they stay there for the whole
Yeah,
rest
yeah.
of and they just manage their performances to rise to the occasion or throttle down a little bit, depending on what the occasion calls for. But trust and believe that if there's a gap between them and second place, City are not going to look too good, but they will win games 1-0. And if Liverpool is pushing them, then City will literally win every single game for the rest of the season. And we will be like, wow, how did they do that?
Yeah.
But that is literally what happens. Pep is a mastermind at managing situations. Now, to just catapult off of that managing situations theme, if we look at the situation at hand, tough game against Liverpool, but they have to play on Wednesday. They have to play on Saturday again. And we stepping into the December period where usually you get a lot of injuries. The squad is already thin. You get a lot of injuries. You have a lot of wear and tear on the players' bodies. And all that is basically saying that I think it goes beyond just the fixture. And you have to play the long game given the situation that he's stepping into. I think after the Liverpool game, none of the players are really tired. No one really needs no serious sort of recovery, and they come out with 1 point, which I think again is exactly what Pep would have taken. Obviously, he would take 3 points, obviously, but that 1 point, given the performance and stuff, and given where I think the players are at, we're looking at no injuries, no wear and tear on the players and their bodies. I think everybody good to go into the Wednesday game, which I believe again will be a boring game
Yeah.
because they are already first in the table, and yeah, I think this is just classic Pep. Until about February, where City just go up another gear if they have to, and only if they have to. And I really think that's the important takeaway here. They do only what they need to win, nothing more.
No,
That's
I
how it
agree
is
with
win.
that.
Yeah, that's true.
Or rather, I agree with that. They do only up the gear or attempt to up the gears if they need to, and I agree with that. But where's my only point, and where we can leave it from here, is that like one, I think a lot of players that we have seen in the past that he has relied on to show up in those periods, but one big one is not here. And unless we're about to diminish what Gundogan has brought to this team over, especially that period, then that has to be some point of concern. Now, I am aware of the players that he has, and in terms of his ability to shape these players and stuff like that. But again, unless we're about to diminish like all what not just Gundogan did, but even Mahrez and well, we ain't know when KDB coming back. Then like those are players that he has relied on in the past to turn that specific period of the season, right? And I'm also aware that I am trying to poke holes in a theory that has proven time and time to be correct until the point that it probably isn't. But I do see that there's one side of this that is like if it isn't broken, don't fix. But I think that there's also the other side that also exists of that is a magic trick that he keep pulling off until he can't.
Mhm.
And I think that the can't only exists where like there was a lot of turnover this year. And I'm not gonna go into that whole that they weak or nothing like that. It's not that. But I think there was a lot of turnover in terms of players that we've seen year on year that he has trusted that may or may not be there in the second half based on fitness in one, and then two of them just aren't there again, period. So yeah. Um
You're talking
I
like the lost boy. I go like you're all talking like the lost. You'd
my
swear to
God.
lose the game.
Sorry. Individually now. In terms of performances on the day, yeah, I thought Ake was brilliant. I have said for time that I still think that he deserves at least in the short to medium term to start these big games over Gavadiol. Not necessarily Gavadiol has been bad, but like I didn't really think Gavadiol has done enough in my opinion. I mean, like I think I even say this in the summer too, even before that. I think Ake kind of is underrated and how good he is in these games now. Um, on the Liverpool side. McAllister, not the best performance. And so then also like Lamar asking is that like something that we should be worried about with Liverpool going forward? Should it be a case of that no matter hook or by crook they find a way to get Gravin into the 11? Was it thought process?
I thought they need to get a DM at some point. Hopefully, I really hope they try and get a DM in January. I don't know if Klopp is like waiting for Thiago to return because I feel like that would be a very weird move to make if Thiago comes back and you expected him to like change the whole team at the sixth position. Because I don't think, even though Thiago is an excellent player, I don't think he's what they need right now.
Mm,
But the other thing is like Liverpool are not getting by because of like Loco or like they're
no,
not
no.
getting by because
Yeah.
no, I'm not saying you said that. I'm just saying like they're not getting by because of like they getting by because they are playing well and they are players who are like I think Van Dijk had a really good game. I mean he probably could have gotten closer to Haaland for the goal, but I mean you know that's one thing. But I mean so this is probably I think this is the first game and like I can't even tell you how many games that Salah didn't have a goal or assist or something. I mean around McAllister, I think they've made it work. And if they really want to take it to the next level, they need to get a proper CDM.
Mm-hmm.
But because McAllister has been a passenger, in my opinion, for the majority of the season.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
he hasn't shown his true qualities because he's not playing his proper position. And he's a capable player, but he's not doing enough at the CDM position. And look how many times he got bypassed during the game. I mean, when you look at things like that, that will be concerning in other moments during the season. So I think the only concern is for Klopp is that he needs to sort out that defensive, that one pivot in the midfield, or he switched that double pivot and play more. I don't know if he will take out McAllister, like switch him to the 10 and let Soberslai and Gravenberg play the double pivot or something like that. I don't know what he's gonna do, but that's the only part of Liverpool right now that needs proper fixing. I think everything else works properly.
Yeah. Um Anybody want to? I know I said we'd go into this more individually. I agree with what Saleh had said earlier. I don't know if Patrick would feel the same. We talked about City depth before, but in terms of now there are teams in the league that have similar, at least similar depth, even if it's not necessarily in quality, but players in which these managers could call on to help change games for them. I mean, in all fairness, We saw that both in like the Arsenal game and how they turned it to win because it was the Arsenal subs that won it for them. And this in this game now with Liverpool, it was the subs that came on and made a big contribution in them getting the equalizer. Has this been a kind of equalizing force then in these teams that are trying to compete with City this season? Their depth.
Personally, I don't think so. Again, kind of comes down to Pep and what he wants. He tends to get whatever he wants out of this league. If he wants to finish third, trust and believe he will finish third. And if he wants to finish first, he will do that as well.
Mm.
I don't think that depth is going to be an equalizer. Um, I think that if Pep needs to reinvent the wheel, for the seventh season in a row, he will just do that. Usually around the January time, we see a significant shift in City's tactics. Saw it last January, where they switched to three at the back. We saw it the January before, switched to 4-4-2. Maybe this January, if necessary, if Pep so deems it necessary, he will switch his tactics and win the league again. If not, they will just go ahead and win it this way. But no, I don't think that that depth in other teams is putting any pressure on City. I also think that City still has good enough depth to carry them through the league, the FA Cup, the Champions League, especially given their system, their low intensity, I'll call it system. They literally finish games without sweating. So yeah, no, I don't think it's an equalizer at all. It would be an equalizer if Pep cloned himself and put himself on Arsenal, one on Liverpool, and one on United, let me say. And then it will be somewhat of an equalizer, and also clone the owners of City and put one of them in Liverpool as well, and one in Newcastle and one in United also.
So
Then we
we
will
not
see
getting
equal.
Ashi.
Y'all, y'all will probably take the chic and still not spend any money. So I
How
don't
we
think
can
y'all
say that
need one.
after we literally spent 100 million this summer, dog? That
Which
is
is why you can't
crazy.
spend no more. 'Cause will FA break the
Yeah,
rules?
that chic will
Yes.
just be crunk in a head.
That's CHIC, not
Yeah,
SHAIK.
yeah,
A
All
different
yes.
shit.
right,
A
all
different sheet.
right. Can I say that this is another game that I think that we saw when teams do manage to stretch games, like especially like in the last 20 minutes there, and I think we saw some of it when City played Chelsea that Rodrigo exposed a little bit. Because like if you're watching goal or Rodrigo caught on no man's land, when it is that Liverpool counted on them, and maybe that's somewhere that teams could look to, because that is where like a lot of City breaks or makes in terms of Rodri's ability to isolate chances from actually reaching the back line.
Mm. Um, I think it depends. It depends on how compact City could remain. But again, like quick transitions is usually hard to
Yeah.
say like, oh, this guy was out of position and so on because transitions at the highest level literally happen like blink of an eye. So it's kind of hard to judge positional. It's hard to judge positional competence when a transition happens in modern day football now. You know what I mean? I don't know if I
Yeah.
explained that correctly, but more or less, I mean, no, I don't think Rodri is any chink in the armor. To be honest with you, I think that when we go into the world class players, we can talk about Rodri.
Well, I mean, I being real honest with all you, the way this going, we
But
need
tomorrow we gonna talk about Rodri.
Two games, two games, two games.
yeah, right. We still have at least two big games to go. And then we need to update you all on Barca drawing this weekend and Lewandowski getting bullied on the field, dog. Well, let's see that. If I get booked
I
by
mean,
his dog, and he even say nothing.
I don't know if we can call that bully. That was just fully illegal. That's all that was. But
We mentioned them if possible. We'll just go straight into them again. Chelsea play Newcastle this weekend when Chelsea decided to keep up the trend of
well,
conceding
yeah.
four, but they didn't want to keep up the trend of scoring a lot, so they only scored once. Um, I told Saleh this weekend I admit defeat in trying to be positive about
What
Chelsea.
time John? I didn't hear you. Wait, my headphone stopped there. Where you say that?
I said Virgil is a pretty handsome person, and we very lucky.
Okay, that's what I thought you said.
And um, I won't lie though. I do think that I be able to like see things pretty well, and Chelsea is a side that's really confused me a lot, boy. But I mean, like, I think that they are. I I was gonna say I would there, but I know that has sense. Like forget the metrics in it. Like it's not that. Like I have seen games with Chelsea accumulate a bunch of XG, and I did not feel like they came out of it with any real set of chance. Like I think like the best example is when they lost to Nottingham Forest, and they had like 2 XG. And like I remember watching that game, and like it didn't feel like they actually created anything outside of when Jackson missed the whole goal. Which was literally the only chance that they made that was over point 0.4 that day, right? But like Chelsea have this ability of like managing to put themselves on top games now, and like especially like post Nottingham Forest actually that they managed to like actually put themselves in decent positions and make good chances to go on to score and stuff like that. And they have this constant inability to really finish off teams when they have the momentum. Like despite the fact that they did win 4-4 with Man City before the international break, right? That it always was a case of they coming from behind, or rather 3 or 4 times, right? And it's never a case of that they on top these games and they kill off games. Like in this Newcastle games, have terrible defending for the first goal, horrendous defending, right? Great ball by Miley though into Isak. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Then after that, now Chelsea flipped the switch. And then Chelsea had a lot of the momentum and made it contentious. Get their goal. And then now Chelsea hit them with wave after wave after wave and put them on the back foot. Had Newcastle struggling to defend them. And what do? Not kill them off. And then now they get set back again. But I mean, the magic trick of being able to always pull it back when you go behind and go behind. You can't do that every week. You can't put yourself in that position. And that's constantly what they do this and it's like Chelsea either could do one thing or do the other. Is either they could real score or they could defend their games. Or rather not real score. They could real create chances or they could real defend their games. And they have this inability of putting together the two. Now, where I took a lot of like positivity from them this season until this point where I feel like it just don't really make any more sense. Is that like I felt like okay, 10 games is a sample size, but it still isn't like telling of what could happen across a whole season, right? That you can see in 10 games where I've seen moments where they have been great defensively, I've seen in moments where they have been great attacking. Whereas there are teams that like I still are yet to see that they can put together a sustainable way of attacking, sustainable way of defending. And so with Chelsea, I felt like okay, Poch is a very experienced manager in this league. He may not be a title winning manager, but he's a top 4 manager at the very least and has managed 3 Champions League finals and stuff like that, right? If he can put it all together with the quality of players that Chelsea have, then we could be looking at a really good side. But instead, what we have is a 2-all to Arsenal, is a 4-all to City, is a 4-1 losing to Newcastle in this run. The only win in this run is against our 9-man Spurs, where they tried their best to throw it away at times. And our 2-0 lost to um, help me here,
Brentford.
Brentford, you know? And that is what is just so baffling to me of how they could, in a game, go from being a good side to imposters and so often at that. At the same time, credit to Newcastle that they have rode these waves that Chelsea gave them, and despite being depleted, and players now coming back from injury and stuff like that, finding the goals, and even they did throw away sometimes. Like God alone knows how Jolinton missed a header in the first half, but like.
Dog.
And then now to cap it all off, Reece James say, "Listen, by hook or by crook, I will not play 5 games in a row." And
Yep.
because he know he's gonna be fit for the next week, he said, "Nah, let me get the day off, dog." And take a red card after that. And then Gordon made it his 7th goal and assist this season, and that is the 4th that he has against a top 6 side. Like put respect on him, man, name, dog. So
Gordon do anything.
I had to go to you first, right? So you know, we gotta say.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna make this a little fun, right? So Virgil, I'm gonna ask you the first question, right?
Yeah.
Who do you think has the most yellow cards in the league this season?
Most yellow cards in the league. Who?
Just
I
give
know
me a
who it
quick
is.
guess. Just give me a quick guess.
I would throw
I know he
Bruno.
will answer.
I would
know
throw
who it
Bruno.
really is.
Bruno? Okay, all right. So the answer is actually Nicholas Jackson, who has 7 yellow cards,
Okay.
right? Daniel, I'll ask you the next question. How many yellow cards do you think Chelsea have in the league this season?
15.
13, 1 3?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Chelsea have 44 yellow cards this season
Yellow.
in the league, the most in the league this season, right? And John, I'll ask you the third question, right? Let me say you want to go to the gym, right? And you want to keep going to the gym. What you need to have to keep going to the gym every day?
Money.
Well, no. I mean, like if you let's say you want to go and run every day, right?
I need sneakers.
What?
Oh
No.
my
What,
God,
what do you need?
bro.
What do you
It's
need internally? What do you need
not
internally?
You got
Desire.
John, what the?
Not only desire. You know what you need, John? You
motivation,
need discipline.
discipline.
Because
Yeah.
discipline is the only thing that's going to keep you going and going and going every day. So the point I'm gonna make about this is discipline is the problem with this team right now. If you're disciplined, discipline breeds consistency. And that is why Chelsea are not consistent right now. Because we are not a disciplined team. We don't take we don't pay attention to the details of the small things. There was a point in the game when Mudryk was running towards the end. We were already 4-0 down, right? Mudryk is going down towards the end, has a easy pass to Broya, messes it up, completely messes it up. He's by himself. There's no need to mess up the pass, right? On top of that, Sterling gets a yellow card for kicking away the ball, right? Petulant, right? Reece James, our captain, gets sent off for dallying on the ball and trying to get back at Gordon. Cucurella goes to complain to the ref 2 minutes after Reece James gets sent off, right? And now Cucurella is suspended for the Brighton game. So now we don't have Cucurella or Reece James available. And Malo Gusto is injured, right? All and guess what? Where was Poch in all of this? Not on the sidelines. You know why he wasn't on the sidelines? Because he's serving a suspension for getting too many yellow cards, and he's up in the stands, right? So the biggest takeaway from me for this game is that we are just not a disciplined side. The whole team lacks discipline. We lack discipline in our footballing sense and in a non-footballing sense. And that is why we are so inconsistent. We decide when we want to play well, which is not the hallmark of a good team. When we played City, we decided we wanted to play well. That's why we got won the games of the season. When we played Arsenal, we wanted to play well. When we played Spurs, we wanted to play well. You think them fellas want to play well against Brentford? No, that's why we lost. You think they want to play well against Nottingham Forest? No, that's why we lost. These fellas do not have the consistency and the discipline to continue to take them to the highest level. That is what we are lacking right now. And you've been asking me for the past few weeks if this is a Poch issue. Discipline of the team starts and ends with the coach.
Hmm.
If your coach is not showing that level of discipline, it's going to translate into the players. Look at our captain cannot get sent off when we're losing 3-1. You can't. Thiago Silva, the whole scoop thing, right? Why are you doing that? Why are you losing concentration to effectively lose the game and give Good Joelinton a free run on Robert Sanchez? Cucurella continuously runs out at the back, rushing to go and make tackles. Lack of discipline. That is
Hmm.
exactly what it is. And I literally had to look at it. I thought about it today. I looked at the statistics today. That's why I asked you about the Jackson thing. That's why I asked you how many yellow cards we've had. We have at least 10 more yellow cards than the next team. Jackson has like I think three more yellow cards than the next player, and Jackson is a striker. Why does my striker have the most yellow cards in the league? He ain't making tackles to stop transitions. Why does he have 7 yellow cards? Look, Virgil laughing, and you understand what I'm
That's
saying?
real funny to
Like,
think
why is my striker? It's not like he taking off his shirt when he score to celebrate. He didn't score in 7 games,
We know he
Yo,
definitely not doing
yo,
that.
right?
go.
So
Um,
I mean, look, all they might be confused, but I have been seeing this for the whole season. I keep telling John, as a rival fan, stop telling me that my team is doing well. I can see the problem, and it's only in that game I figured it out. It is a lack of discipline. We're not paying attention to things that we should pay
You
attention
only now
to.
bring up this
If you
part,
don't,
though. And I totally agree with what you're saying, though. This is spot. To be fair, I'm so sorry that this has to come after your side loss, and I'm so sorry that's coming amongst the way this season has been going. But that has genuinely been one of the best like soliloquies we've had, though. That was fantastic, though. And I think there's no better way to explain what it is going on with Chelsea, though. And what's the funny thing, though? I think that there was some extent some discipline issues with um Tottenham under Poch too. Just the differences is like, well, he had Kane and he had Ericsson and he had Son, and he had whoever else, where like these players were just bail them out of games, even regardless when they decide to get overly scrappy and stuff and get overly caught up in games. Whereas Chelsea just they don't have that. They don't have that right now.
I look at the players you're talking about, right? Ericsson, Son, and Kane, right? Three of the hallmarks of Pochettino's great
And
Spurs
Dele
team,
Alli,
right?
respect Ali.
Yeah, but like, let's talk about discipline here, right? If you're looking at Dele Alli is a good example. Why I think
Yeah,
Dele Alli is no longer at the highest level?
lack of
Why you think?
discipline.
Why you think that is?
Just
Exactly. Look at Kane. Kane is at the highest level because Kane is a disciplined player. Son is an extremely disciplined player. Ericsson, at his peak, before all his problems, he was a disciplined player. And I still think he's a disciplined player.
mm-hmm.
And that is what we lack right now. Like we have a $200 million midfield that still can't get it right.
Hmm.
This is not like they speak in a different language either. You know, they speak in the same language.
Mhm.
Hmm.
You know? So at the
Well,
end of the day, this is the problem. This is where the problem lies. Consistency can only come from discipline, and that is what we lack right now.
And also PSG too,
Homeboy say we was
unfortunately.
going to run through these two games, eh? He said we was going to run through these two games, eh?
And also PSG too. Point out had some when Poch was there at a peak time when had all kind of thing going on within the squad. Yeah.
Look at how many things was going on at PSG. So many external factors. Players didn't want to play. Players was coming here. Messi was deciding if he wanted to come and play or not. Like this is the thing. He's not breeding that. That is not the culture of the club right now. We need discipline in the squad.
And that
Like,
also
That's
says
what we
something
need.
about like his demeanor and thing as well.
it's true.
Like if he is unable to command his squad from an off-field point of view, why it is that they would be able to execute things on field?
The only time I want to just add on Chelsea is what, like literally every time I watch Chelsea play, it's literally like just before the game, I just feel like this like Chelsea as a team. It just feel like how you would prepare like when you have a Sunday league game. It literally feels that on the day the man just sent a message in the WhatsApp group. Yo fellas, just remember it's our game today. The men show up,
yeah.
he play, and it just seems that they all just show up on that
Wait,
day.
oh, Virgil describing GVT, yes,
But big,
wait,
big, so big. Dog, that shows how we literally playing at Chelsea level back then. Dog,
wait, oh, so basically Brad was Raheem Sterling or something, innit? Now
yeah,
Brad just a
yeah,
quarterback.
we know that, we know, yeah. So yeah,
Patrick, wait, oh, Virgil just called Patrick Jackson, yes? That is crazy.
I'm Broyado, Broyado. Listen, um,
uh,
I think that was uh really really good. Um, good is the wrong word. It was that was fantastically put together.
Yeah, boy, that was
Um,
great.
the whole discipline thing. I mean, yeah, I completely agree with that. I do think that Chelsea's problems go way beyond tactics
Yeah.
and personnel and who's a good player and who's not. It is so deep right now. I think discipline, as Brandon mentioned, is has to be at the core of their problems. I do think they have a couple others. Wouldn't make sense to talk about those. Let me talk about um, player discipline for a little bit, right? The thing you mentioned about Jackson, yes, I believe that 7 yellow cards, 6 of them were not for tackles. So that's kind of crazy, you know. 6 of them is I know I had him in FPL, so I know his first four. I know his first four was for doing this, yeah. And the ones after, it could be for this, or it could be for just arguing or kicking away the ball or whatever. Kicking away the ball seems to be a big Chelsea thing right now. It happened 3 times in the last game, and that was insane. And 3 yellow cards was given for players kicking the ball away. I can't believe that Sterling does still kick ball because like he was one of the last ones to do it, I think. And when he did it, I was like, this makes no sense because I think James had just do it before and got yellow, and then Sterling came and do it right after, and I was like, this makes no sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't even think the players will be frustrated. I think they just do whatever they want to do because it's almost like it's like dealing with a 5-year-old, like impulsive thoughts, and you just do whatever you want, like let me go and press now because I feel to.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll dribble now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll pass. No. You know what I mean? And that's literally what we see with Sterling dribbling he want. Modric can't pass the ball. You mentioned Cucurella. I think James was pressing real bad in the game too. They brought on Caicedo. He did alright. I mean, alright, not fantastic, but he also hasn't really been pos. We could talk about discipline all different type of ways. His positional discipline, I think it would be good to let's keep using that word, right? So his positional discipline really isn't where it should be. It wasn't like that in Brighton, and it's not like that now. And we're in a much, looser system. So his faults are really, coming out there.
Extenuated.
Huh?
Extenuated.
Nobody said anything, bro. It's all you.
Oh, I
I
thought John
I
said,
had said,
but
well, yeah, it seemed like it was lost words. I was like, it looked extenuated now.
oh yeah, exactly. So
My bad.
yeah, I think Brandon, the idea that you brought, I can't even call it an idea. I don't even want to call it a theory. I don't have a word for it. So the thing that you brought up, I think is spot on. Um, we could probably talk for a whole hour about this, but we shouldn't. So let's not do that. But yeah, when you think about it, Chelsea's problems could probably all of them might be summed up by that one word. Because even the way that they attack the transfer market is so willy nilly. It's literally, oh, this guy has played good and he costs around 150. Let's pull the trigger. He will solve the problem. And then they will just do that 5 times and see what happens. But it needs more structure. I don't know where the structure needs to start. I don't know if it's with the coach or if it's higher than the coach. I have no idea. Um, but I don't think Poch is going to fix it. He has never really been a big personality at our club. He's not the type of guy to come in and change our culture. I think that's what Chelsea need. So
And you see,
yeah.
I glad you said the positional discipline as well, because I'm not just talking about discipline like the yellow cards thing. Like
Hmm.
it's discipline in every aspect
Yeah.
of football. Like if you like you say positional discipline, defensive discipline, attacking discipline, passing, all these small things, outer ball discipline, on the ball discipline.
Yeah.
It's all these things. And when you can't figure it out from a footballing perspective, you had to ask all these types of questions. And for me, this is what I think the problem is. It's a lack of discipline in all the aspects that matter for us to become a big club. Look at every other team. City extremely disciplined, right? Arsenal extremely disciplined, right? Liverpool extremely disciplined. And even when they're not playing well, they do. It's not like you could say they're another disciplined team.
Hmm.
Right.
That is exact. This is the problem that Chelsea have.
Yeah. I completely agree. I would even throw Newcastle into that because Newcastle
Yeah,
might have some
exactly.
wild players, but
Yeah. Look at Unai Emery
tactically,
with Aston Villa. Look what he's
yeah,
doing.
That's
that too.
a key one.
Hmm.
Sorry, John. Let me just stop you.
No, I there's nothing that I could see that could top what you say there.
Hmm.
And the truth is, now we talk about. It's so funny how these things is unravel as we talk, because essentially what we see in there is that this doesn't just trickle down from the manager and go over. This is like one of them moments where, like, this gonna sound a little egotistical, but like I believe that what we do here is really good, and I do think that we do have really good conversations about the stuff that's going on in football. And I mean, like, we're not even talking about the fact that, was it Joel Linton clothesline somebody in this game? That
Mm-hmm.
did happen, right? Like, we even talk about
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
referee or anything because of how big this is. And I think, like, we have conversations where, like, I really wish that we had that this is corner flag 5 years ahead when we do actually have the couple hundred and thousand listeners and stuff. For like, people, they hear this now because, like, people would be studying, like the average listener, like, where is it really going wrong with Chelsea, like outside of the Rabs, and like to be able to take the time to step back and be able to look at the discipline issue and how this is not just a on the field issue. This isn't even just a manager issue. Like, as we talk about it, Patrick went to this is from the ownership come down. Like, everything does feel like an unorganized approach. And when that goes from the top come down, unstructured, then how can you expect the product at the end of the line when it was at the factory stage, it wasn't organized properly. It wasn't structured properly. And so, we have a case here where it's like a toy, and in one part the arm was made one place, the body was made somewhere else, the head somewhere else, the foot somewhere else, and when they try to put it all together, it looked like if you take the arm from a GI Joe, the body from a Transformer, a foot from a Barbie, and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this mix and match thing that you have put together here, and so is
But you would expect the manager to be able to instill something like that into the team, though. I agree with what Daniel is saying, though. But I still believe that from a team perspective, this has to fall on the manager
yeah.
because he is seeing these fellas every day. He is the one in charge of training, and I remember I told you for Brentford, Brentford is play a low block. What we was doing all weekend training,
Hmm.
not training how to beat a low block. So again, like what is where's the diligence? Where's the discipline for these things?
Yeah,
No, I might have said what I said wrong, but no, Poch takes all the blame. I don't think Poch could fix this. He's the wrong manager for the job to fix that discipline issue. He's the wrong manager to change culture, is basically what I'm trying to say. And I was also maybe just trying to say that it does go higher than him. But yeah, all the blame is his. If he got sacked in the morning, I would understand. Yeah, if you see what, yeah, just
Do
to
you all know
clarify.
Chelsea have won 5 wins in the last 25 Premier League games?
Damn. No,
yeah.
I
I
didn't know
saw
that.
something like Enzo has a 13% win rate since he's reached Chelsea.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that being said, the run doesn't stop for Chelsea. Um, I know they have United after the next game, but who it is all they playing next game against Alex?
Brighton, my friend.
Right.
Brighton and Hove
I
Albion.
actually have
A
a
team that
prediction.
have
Hold on.
scored and conceded in every game this season. So you know what's going on.
I
5-1.
feel that would be a good game though. That would be, I don't know. I could see that being like,
All you
yeah,
remember the
5-0.
Brighton game last year, the Amex? Dog, I had spending night by you and I dog. That's what we watched it before you do it. It was 1, it was 2, it was 2-1, then it was 3-1 and 4-1.
No, but this is
Um
how we got Brighton though. This is not the same Brighton of last
oh
season.
no.
This is
I
And
a
Brighton play
totally
in Europe.
different.
Brighton play in Europe this week as well,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
this is a totally different.
They
This
are
game could
all in
honestly
a
go
must win
either way.
situation as well. For them to come out of their group in the Europe League.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um
No, but Brighton keep getting hit with injuries. Boy, Fatty now get injured and
yeah,
Lamptey.
but I mean
So
that
I
is
don't know who going to play.
Yeah, that's true.
Fatih being
Huh.
injured is expected. He's a
Both of
quick
them, to be
passer.
honest, both
True.
both of them getting injured is
True.
kind of expected.
Yeah.
But
Nah, I was just being a dickhead there. Though. I really didn't mean that. No. But in terms of
well, I
Newcastle
mean that's
guys,
fine.
so we see that. Hey, to be fair, after they lost to Bournemouth, because Bournemouth is in ripping form, guys. We have 3 wins in 4. That
Yeah,
we had
man.
some concerns about the way that the injuries were building up, even though they are not the only ones suffering with injuries, but the level of performance wasn't there. However, this weekend the commitment to the cause was definitely there. And they, even though like times they may have lacked a little bit technically and in execution, the application, the effort was there throughout. And I had a pretty big week for them where they need to go to PSG this week and then now have to host United next week. They really need to get that momentum going then. And so I think we saw some of that for them. I'm at a bit of a loss. I don't know if any of you could enlighten me as to if they could expect anybody back within the next week, if not for Wednesday, for the following Saturday. But fair play to some of the players who have come in and done a job. Like, it kind of has gone under the radar. I don't think we have said enough about it on the pod. But man, Jamal Lascelles, though, since he has come back in, has been, hmm,
Man,
you
that's the
know,
skip. Expect anything
oh,
else?
dog. I'm now going to say, after what we just say about Reece James, and then now draw that as a parallel to what we see from Jamal Lascelles in terms of leadership and commitment and discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Complete parallels, bro, like opposite ends of the spectrum. And so, yeah, players have come in and done well. I thought Livra had a decent game. I kind of
Mhm.
expect him to continue starting overhaul, at least for the time being. And
Hmm.
Joe Linton continues to be like the lone person staying fit in that midfield right through. Despite the fact that honestly
Not really, you know.
he should have been sent off. But I don't know if we'll even want to discuss that at this point. It's just because it does feel like a
No, it's
by the
okay.
way thing. On like
Mm-hmm.
he should not be doing that as well as so like I don't know if you can remember the person who also do a clothesline in the Aston Villa Spurs game. But like Apparently, those things just not being called right now. So
Mhm.
that being said, anybody have anything they want to leave on Newcastle before we go to Spurs Villa?
No.
Always a
I
one.
mean,
Isaac scored again.
Each one of these big games, guys, get a half hour each. Yeah, but here, all yeah, we are run through the route
Yeah.
up real quick.
we're run through this, man. We're run
Yeah,
through this.
Isaac scored again. One goal
Yes.
Yes,
closer to my 2020. My
correct.
Yeah,
2020
true.
prediction.
I just go in and collect my 3 points and say that I called this shit. 2 weeks ago, we said that perfect international break time for Newcastle. Let them get some rest, recovery, and come back out because we know Newcastle is a big passion project. If the players tired, then the system don't work. But if the players have some energy, then it's gonna beat teams 4-1. So yeah, I mean no disrespect to Chelsea, but it does feel like we kicking them while they're down. But Newcastle was just too good on the day, and this is the thing I like about Newcastle too. They will run you to the ground until they make a mistake. And then as soon as you do make that mistake, they will punish the hell out of you.
Mhm.
So so yeah, man. Joelinton, first goal for the season. In the Premier League, very happy that he got it because I really like him as a player. And I just hope that guys could start returning from the hospital and come back to the passion project because
I mean,
Newcastle is a team that I would really like to see succeed right now.
I mean, now
So
they in the
so yeah,
middle of
man.
I would say mixed run of games. Because
Yeah,
I don't think it has been like totally difficult, but they are in the middle of a pretty um a run that requires some navigating then, for lack of a better word then. And they
yeah.
continue to be, in my opinion, and I am totally open to you guys, my opinion as of right now, that they be in the pole position to be the team that comes forth. And I think all things considered, that is pretty good. Compared to what we're gonna talk about Spurs now, who are now on their third loss in a row you know.
Yeah.
And it's Spurs and in Spurs case, the fixtures definitely don't get any easier. No chance for the respite. So Spurs played off against Aston Villa this weekend, and Spurs took the lead. Son scored a hat trick this weekend, guys. And when you hear that, probably think they won, but it was a hat trick of offside goals. And yeah, I'm losing the game 2-1 as Watkins. Somebody, I can't remember who it was, telling me that he's the best English striker in the Premier League. And they are so I can't see your hand. Well, they were so right though. Best English striker in the Premier League though. The only reason Harry Kane leave was because he was afraid of Watkins. And the man has been on ripping from on Emery and it just continues to do so. Douglas Luiz with another assist, a brilliant, not just 2023 season, 2023, yeah. Like we in a position now where we talking about Douglas, we should be starting for Brazil. Like this is the level to which that he is performing. And Spurs, this wasn't Spurs were really bad defensively, especially second half. But like the first half, like they had so many chances, and it just wasn't finished. Lo Celso, who came back from the cold to score, put them 2-1 ahead before the game turned on their head. And who wants to go first? Patrick, I don't feel like I'll let you go first so far. So why don't you go first?
So I think that Spurs are just mad unlucky, dog. Like big one thing. Did you see the back line today? Four fullbacks.
Four fullbacks.
Like what the hell?
With Dyer on the
That
bench,
that is just
mind
the
you, eh?
start of it.
With Dyer on the bench,
Huh?
mind you, eh?
I'd probably play Emerson
Yeah,
Royale over Dyer, to be honest
yeah, I
with
feel
you.
so big man.
Oh, that is
And my
insane.
son didn't even do that bad. So don't even
Yeah,
do all that.
I
My
don't
son
find
didn't
he
even do that
The
bad.
man
bro.
get the man
I
get the
don't find
job
he
done.
bad.
Yeah. Um, look, yeah, I can't blame this on Ange. I can't blame this on the players. It is literally mad unlucky
Yeah.
that so many players are out right now. Um, Thankfully, Romero will be coming back. So I think that helps having a centre back at the back there. But Madison, man, like that is just too much of a big miss. Um, I know we saw them create a lot of chances today. I felt like the chances were just like purely cookie cutter chances. Like let's get wide, swing it in, and hope that somebody score. And yeah, I mean, Son almost scored a couple. Some of them was offside, some of them wasn't. Aston Villa are probably the most disciplined. When it comes to that offside trap, I think the statistic is they have the most offsides called for that like in their favor in the league right now. So I guess Emery he knows what he doing there. I thought that Son would have been a little bit more experienced to be able to keep himself onside. Most of the time, it was him that was getting called offside, and a guy of his experience, should really be doing that. But again, he's not playing on the wing anymore. He is playing in the center. It is much harder to judge the line when they get a position shift like that. So I could understand what's going on there. Yeah, I don't blame Spurs for their losses. Honestly, I don't. I really think it's pure misfortune. I think they will get it back. They created a lot of chances today. Yes, cookie cutter ones, but they created a lot of chances today. I really back them to start getting some wins under their belt. I think the next game is City, so that's GG's. But after that, I really back them
You
to
say
um to
misfortune.
start getting some.
Misfortune in terms of what?
The injuries, just I mean, Madison is like
Everybody
five
have
players at the
injuries
same
though.
time getting,
Now, fair enough.
huh?
Everybody have injuries though.
But is the type though, like Van de Ven and Madison? That's the two. That would be like if Arsenal had Saka and Saliba out. Like, think about that now. Think about the difference that makes. No Saka, no Saliba. So when you start losing games, you can kind of understand a little bit why. Also, four fullbacks on the back line is just insane to me. Um, yeah, man, I don't know. I honestly think that it is a little bit unfortunate. I mean, also Bissouma and Sa pulled up during the week. Like Sa, who was fit for this game, got injured right before the game. You see where I kind of going with this?
I mean, though they
I
have.
don't
Yeah,
know if I could
I
even.
think
Mhm.
Basuma was suspended.
Yeah, I don't think it was more than just. I think it
Okay,
was suspended.
I think he
But
was suspended, but still, yeah.
okay, wait.
I
But Sa, it came out like 2 days ago. Got
Yeah, I
injured
saw that.
in training.
And then Bentancur got injured today as well.
yeah,
Boom. Yes, and he was playing so good.
He was playing really
Yeah.
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
What I would
Um.
say is that over the international break, they had fault graphics on like the teams that had the most injuries. So that had to deal with the most injuries so far this season, and Spurs wasn't even in like the top five of that. And so like that is where like I get the concern, but like unfortunately that is just part of the season. Um,
Wait,
but
hold on. Just a jump in. So then, is it a numbers game? Because like if if the Oscar Bob and them men getting injured is totally different to Madison getting injured. If you see what I
right,
say, like it shouldn't just be
but
a
then
numbers
like
game. We had to look at the team sheet.
right,
Well,
but
John,
then
that's
like
interesting, because the graphic I saw is that Spurs have had the most injuries this season, in
serious.
cumulatively. Yeah,
More
they've
I
more
had
mean
like
like
14.
what
They
graphic?
have
they,
What?
had 14, and United have had 14 as well.
right. I know United had 40 because there was actually the example I was going to use
Yeah,
where
Spurs
like
have 14 as well. Newcastle have 8.
I'm gonna look for it, but
That was probably a graphic
I was
from
going
two
to
months
let
ago by John.
no it nah, but Salik, you was gonna say something though. Well, you look like you wanted to say something at least. Go ahead now. While
I
I look
mean, no,
for
I don't agree with the I don't really agree with the unlucky part. However, I do think that is like something that you have to take into consideration, because like, I mean,
it.
we
Right.
talking about like the players that they've lost is like two of the two of the most important players in the season. Like, we were
Yeah,
talking about Van der Ven and Madison potentially being an early team of the season so far. And the drop off in terms of like who they have to replace them. I mean, playing four fullbacks. I mean, like, Jesus Christ. I mean, like,
yeah,
no sane team wants to do that. I don't even think
yeah.
Luton Town wants to play four fullbacks. At
To be
defense.
fair,
But
I know for a fact that they went into the season considering Davies as their fourth centre back. Like,
well, I mean, then Ben Davis is like,
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know. It's just
yeah.
it's nice
But
they're planning.
but
I can't do nothing with that.
but at the same time, I think the issue with Spurs today was more about, like, as you say, Son scored three offside goals, and I mean, on another day one of those could have not been, and we could be having a totally different conversation. So I don't think attacking wise they have suffered that greatly, but I do think
Mhm.
losing Bentancur today was extremely important, because
Yeah,
I have said that losing Madison would have been okay if you have Bentancur, which proved to be correct today up until he got
Yeah.
injured.
because he
And now
was
that he is
fantastic, man.
injured, there's no player like him in the squad.
Yeah.
So when you're going back to that, like, you're trying to figure out who it is you're gonna put in where and whatever. But I mean, in another sense, I also don't feel like Spurs have done themselves any favors, because Andres continued to play this free flowing, fearless football that he keeps preaching about, and it sometimes just does it. It's not necessary. Like, I don't think they needed to continue attacking Aston Villa today. I think they could have probably played for the draw, because Aston Villa are not a very good team away, and they ended up beating Spurs away. So
Um,
you know, in terms of that, I do feel thing for them, but I mean, it is what it is.
so I have both the one I had set in the group and the one by the Athletic here. And there's the injuries. Well, obviously this is before this weekend, right? Like this not taking Bentancur into account. Um, Newcastle had 14, United have 14, Sheffield have 13, Forest have 13, Crystal Palace have 13, Chelsea have 12, Brentford have 11, Fulham have 10, Brighton have 10, Aston Villa have 10. Notice I call like half the league already. Yeah? Liverpool have 9, Arsenal have 9, Burnley have 9, Tottenham have 9. So like I don't know where it is you see 14, but this was from the Athletic.
But that's 40, that's all, yeah.
No, I'm not out today. I just say this was from the Athletic that they posted this. So like that is why I say like I mean like I know like in the injury
Yeah, but
report.
5 and 14, you're talking like not a lot big difference there. Like if it was like
No, but
five, if it
what
was
I'm
like
saying is
14
like
and 2.
right, but what I'm saying is like we talking about United having a terrible season, and yet they are where they are. And the Spurs flying so far this season, and yet United have been, and yet both of them are in the same points now, I believe, after United won.
Mhm.
That they on Tottenham on the same points. And we not like United excuses for injuries, we only had given them so much now, you know? Whereas with Tottenham, we're saying that they lost two men from the starting 11. And like, so then the delta between them is being a top four questionable title race team to one mid-table team with two injuries.
I
Again,
mean,
I
I
get
think
that
they lose more than two from the
the start
starting 11
11.
though. Because if you look at Ange optimal starting 11, the starting squad that he would have played like I don't know 4, 5, 6, 7 times for the season so far.
Mm-hmm.
I think only four of them play today. I think
So
only four. I
outside of
think you only
Madison,
Vicario, the two fullbacks, and Son, and Kulusevski five. I think only five of them play today of
and the
Ange like optimal starting 11.
right. So like it was a one-off. I hear that it was a, like well, not just one-off, but like the players who like service suspensions and thing. Then fair enough. I mean, and that is on their own because this is the second time Basuma serving suspension for the season,
Yeah, it's right through with TY.
right?
I don't
But
know
in
what is
terms of
going on, man.
it was I don't know the longer term or like even the last two games. Well, not Chelsea is where it all happened, but like the Wolves game and looking forward, it's only two players
Mhm.
from the core 11 that they really have out missing. You know, I mean, I don't know how long Sar out for. That one I would say I don't know about, but the fullbacks are fit. Um, Romero is fit. Vicario is fit. The Basuma will come back into the team once he serves
Yeah,
suspension. Obviously, Sar, we don't know about. He has been basically playing the season without Bentancur anyway. Kulusevski there, Son
yeah,
is
yeah,
there. Richarlison came back. Brendan Johnson is somebody he has relied on. He's there as well. So
yeah.
it's only really
Richarlison is out though.
he back in training this week, but he didn't make the squad this week. He was
Oh,
back in training this week. So like he still has a big part of the nucleus there. Is my point. Outside of about and again, I get what you're saying. It was a seismic though, because it's not like if they lost. Give me a better example. It's not like they lost Pedro Porro, and then they could still at
not a
least.
bad example too, to be fair. But
That is a terrible
Yeah,
example.
but
Poro has been
okay,
really
but then
good this
okay.
season.
It's not like if they lost Richarlison for the whole season, and then they can bring in Brendan Johnson. Is that better? Is that better for you?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
much
much
better.
Okay,
Yeah.
better.
right. It's not like that. I get that they lost Madison, right? And they lost Van de Ven, who I agree that the entire defensive structure kind of relies on his superpower.
Athleticism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but that is come with the territory of being a manager because everybody is struggling with injuries to some extent. Now, some more than others. Like again, like Ten Hag and Newcastle, they really are probably on the brunt of it. And we just
See, but
Brandon, we have been making
I
jokes
think
about
Spurs on the run too.
No, but this is exactly why I say I don't think it's unlucky, John, because even though they have all these injuries, Ange is not changing his approach,
yeah.
which I think is exactly the problem. That you need a change in approach if the approach can't be maintained.
Correct.
And
Agreed.
that is exactly where they've
Yeah.
fallen short right now.
And yeah, that's exactly why I don't agree with unlucky. Like I think that is sympathy fit. Like that's fair
Yeah, I
enough.
sympathize with it, but
Yeah,
I don't think it's
that's
unlucky.
completely valid. As especially as somebody who is a Madison fan, I sympathize with that 100%. But in terms of unlucky, dog, at this point he's had nearly a month to work out life without Madison and Van der Ven at this point. You know? Like whatever he does now is on him. You know, that is where I think the luck stops. You know, this is not. It happened Monday against Chelsea and the Wolves game weekend. You know, he's had time. Like that is unlucky to me. Doesn't and then unlucky also kind of then does discredit the teams that they're playing against as well. You know, because like then like the Wolves ran all over them. You know, in that game, even though it came down to the last 10 minutes of the game for them to actually win it, and then well, today wasn't really so much. But today we saw Aston Villa. I feel like the title of this episode gonna end up being discipline, but we saw Aston Villa discipline come to the front, and then when they had their chances to make the most of it. So I think unlucky is not just being generous to them, but I think it being disingenuous to other teams as well that are struggling with injuries and making life out of it. Because like imagine you had Tala United fans at the start of the season like without how their form has been this season, that they was gonna go basically the season without Licha and without Casemiro. How they would have feel. But then imagine you tell them that and that they would have also be joint points with fourth place. You know?
Yeah, they would take that.
Yeah, true.
Um
Okay, maybe I guess I need to do better then. I'll accept that.
I'll be so real, I have no idea where to go from here though.
Yeah, to ask Virgil what his thoughts on the game was.
Which was it also the game?
Mhm.
Hey, to be fair, I tell Brandon my brain wasn't gonna be here and I asked him on to host it.
That's why I'm here.
That's
Exactly.
why. Yeah, but well, I just more talking from a way of how what we thought from Spurs from our last conversation with Spurs on the injury. Honestly, they surprised me. I was expecting a much worse performance from Spurs. But mind you, it was because of I highly feel it's because of Bentancur being in the starting 11. So it literally felt like things weren't as bad, wouldn't be as bad for Spurs. But then after they were injured and everything, I feel like right now it is back to square one, back to what we was talking about the last time we talked about Spurs. So we literally had that discussion and say that yeah, we understand what the issues Spurs have, and it really does come down to Ange to try to find something different. And we even like this is nothing new. We literally said from knowing Ange, well, we're knowing from what it would be kind of unlikely that we will see something different. And I feel playing things that we said, plenty things that we said just happened. I feel like while I just watching the game, I just highlighted moments of our conversations. I was like, okay, yeah, yeah. See, the only unlucky part I will bring up is obviously I think it's what Spurs had the ball in the net like what
6 times, 5 times, something like that.
around like 5 times, and that didn't call. So if we just focusing from the foot point of view on what happened on the day and not really with everything that going on behind the scenes, you can look at that and be like, it was unlucky from Spurs because on a different day, Son stays on side. That's a whole different story.
Yeah.
We'll sit down here and
Mm-hmm.
say, yeah, Ange have it, Ange problem sorted. So it's something that I find could go either way. It really does come down from this. I don't necessarily feel from this loss not creating anything new than they have to deal up with. The only thing is yeah, Bentancur out, but this is the frame of mind that Ange wasn't even before this game, and we really had to see now how next game is going to play out.
And this is the last thing I'll say about like the whole Ange thing is that I remember we sit here on this pod last year and it was and like this was Brandon too saying this that we had criticized club for when they was dealing with all the injuries and lack of form or whatever for not adapting to those changes and that they were still losing, still losing, still losing. And then now we're looking at a place where world class Allison and world class Virgil and world class Trent and world class Salah are spending their world class talents in the Europa League the following year. Like, it's not good enough to not being able to adapt as a coach
That's true.
in times of extreme peril, because that is part of your job. Um, so on the other hand, though, we have Aston Villa, who has won away from home against a big side. Something they really struggled on the road this year, and they managed to leave with the 3 points. And with that being said, they are now fourth actually. I don't know. We had say United was joined fourth, but they are fourth. They are level on points with Liverpool, who are in third, and they are only 2 points actually off the top of the table, and has been a fantastic year. And I mean, the way that they have been playing, it does leave some peril in it. However, on the other end, like Unai has managed to make those players become really efficient in front of goal, and Ollie Watkins is like the poster boy for that says the efficiency. And I remember, oh God, I really wish I remember which part it was I was listening to, where they was talking about how Watkins was talking about like himself pre Unai and him now, and how Unai has helped him like focus on these pockets of zones to be in when it comes to the final third. Instead of making needless runs out wide to try and support, to try and be that guy, but rather to find the spaces between the fullback and the centre back, between the centre backs itself. And he has become like way more potent since then. And has been a really forefront of Aston Villa's success so far this season. I think everybody here actually is kind of Watkins fans, you know? So like
Hmm.
they really have nothing more to be said on that. And yeah, anybody have anything they want to add before we run through the rest of the league as fast as we possibly could and
Hmm.
do some small wrap up? And we promise you guys, if not this week, next week, we will give you all the world class episode. And in fact, if we go and do it as a standalone episode, we could probably even like include Madrid, the other team from Spain, Bayern, them kind of thing. So yeah.
Wait, this was only it was world class players in the Prem alone. I thought it was top five.
It's a good thing we didn't do it.
World class players in the Prem alone.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I
Yeah.
have that though.
No.
I had segregated by leagues, so I would have been fine.
Oh,
But
cool.
no, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll do that next time. Anybody have anything they want to add on this before we move on?
I'd just like to say, welcome back to Tielemans to actually playing
Bro,
football
Hmm.
and
You know
that
and
what?
second
playing
half
Yeah.
football
performance
well.
from him
Yeah.
was dog. So
And
good,
I
dog.
and again, one of the things a lot of people have been giving Tielemans a lot of stick, and I think he proved today exactly why he was always such a sought after midfielder
Yeah.
in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, I think, under Emery, like damn, he could do a lot of damage. Like if you have McGinn, him, and Douglas Luiz, especially all of them playing like they are right now, that's a very you know solid
Yeah.
midfield pairing partnership right there. So, I mean, big up Tielemans for reintroducing himself into the team and actually playing well and getting himself back into the limelight.
I only wonder if Emery would be willing to drop Kamara. That's the only thing that was wondering. I
Hmm.
thought Tielemans played really good, but I also thought that if he was to come in, it would have to be over McGinn instead of Kamara. Only because
Yeah.
Kamara is what freeing up Luis right now. And Luis
Hmm.
is having, if we're being fair, Luis is having a like season of his life,
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
probably one of the best midfielders in the league right now.
He
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it would be so that's the only part that I'm not sure about Tielemans. I don't know if he could come in for Kamara. Could then be looking at reserving Luis or just saying forget defense and let's just
Hmm.
play. I don't know what the mindset can be,
I mean,
but
Well, I
dog.
mean,
Tielemans is
they
too
also
good
play
to
in
be on the
Conference
bench
League,
though.
right?
Yeah,
So
I
I
was
mean,
literally
getting
gonna
him
say
back
that.
into the team and playing well is a
Yeah,
benefit to them because now they could rotate however many ways they want.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Emery is a very good tactician, so I think he
I
would
mean,
be good with having that as an
per-
option.
personally, I would love to see Tielemans back in the team. I'm just not sure how, but I would like. Yeah, I would love. Is it dog that McGinn man just too good for Aston Villa? You know that's what the problem is.
yeah,
Come again, though he makes McGinn is a man that does make no sense. Like you look at him and he screams average player,
Yeah.
but he is actually so good though. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like he does exactly what Villa needs him to do.
Hmm.
He would have probably been average at some other team, but does exactly what Villa needs to do. I think I'm big up Bailey too. I thought Bailey had a real good game when he
yeah. I
came on.
thought so too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Did
yes,
Diaby
yes.
come off or was he injured?
I think he got injured, but he came off at
Oh,
halftime.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. It says so much about like everything that's happened this weekend. That like we are 4 games in and we have not talked about the fact that Arsenal managed to actually go on top of the league after all this. Um, and to be quite honest, I'm perfectly fine actually leaving it at that. Because I mean it was a nothing game, but like I think that's some of us with like a lot of what we have done this season is that we just the only times that we do offer up some chances when somebody do some kind of stupidness. And to our credit on this day specifically, they managed to bail themselves out of that when Ramsdale decided he wanted to get pinched in front of the goal. And then something else happened which resulted Zinchenko having to make a goal line clear as Declan Rice having to make one on that one itself. But the most important thing, guys, is what?
Hey, you could finally play the song, dog.
I just want to know what is the most important thing that came out of this weekend. Can anybody tell me? Virgil, do you want to tell me?
Nope. What is it?
I am bitch lucky. I can't find where I saved the song. Oh my goodness, where did I put this? It's okay. It's a Kai Havertz's call again. And unlike his pity penalty, which in reality did nothing for him, I have said this before. I do think that recently that we started to see him play a little bit better, and now he actually has a game changing contribution, a winning contribution at that time. If he could continue doing that, well, then all good. I have said this before. Like it's not that I had any hope necessarily in him to this point, but it's more that like I think my manager has built up enough credit to those of the players that he wanted to bring in, and my trust was more line. And that's that when the man coming off the bench and winning games for you and helping change games for you, like he has done today, he did versus City, and has put in some decent performances. Then it might not be 65 million, but he at least showing to be useful in that aspect. Um, Declan Rice, by the way. As I do this every week, we underpaid film. I will continue to say that we've underpaid film. This man is phenomenal, and yeah, it really had nothing to talk about in this game. And Saka with more assists because he, no matter what, will always leave with some kind of contribution. And yeah, anybody want to say anything before we could go and talk about Jude and Lewa getting bullied
The
and
the man y'all actually underpaid for, dog, is William Saliba. The more I watch that guy play, is the more I really believe that he is going to take world football by storm when it comes to a defender.
I
I
agree.
think by the end of his career, we might honestly be saying something along the lines of, dog, that might be the greatest we ever see, No, big man thing, because he is the full package, like we used to talk about that with Van Dijk. He is just the part two. Um, in terms of capabilities and genetics, dog,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it,
dog.
it just don't get better than this guy.
And
I'll bring it back again at the end of the season, and then 5 years, you might have to hear my ramble on about this guy, but like, jeez, dog, he is Rolls Royce. Like, that guy is too good. He's better than Gabriel, by the way. I know
he
last season
is.
we used to say the opposite, but he is way better than Gabriel, and he's better than all the other defenders in the league too.
And
He's just too
and
good.
Barca like a French defender.
Big man thing, keep him up.
Hey, you're all,
He will,
you're all sour, boy.
he will come to
You're all
Barca
sour,
to get injured. Trust me, he will get injured. Trust me. ACL gone. As soon as he lands in Catalonia, ACL gone.
I would say that I do think that we get kind of accustomed to how good he has been, and like we don't really talk about it that much on the pod at least. And one of the pods I listened to that they said that they think that he might be our best player, and I think that does says a lot that he might be not just our best player, but one of the best players in the league. I mean, like we saw when Arsenal came up against City the last few weeks ago, the best striker in the world, somebody that a lot of people rightfully thought deserved the Ballon d'Or. He clamped him, didn't say a word, no shots the entire game, that kind of thing. And that's the kind of caliber of player that Arsenal have on their hands right now. I mean, we see the drop off when they didn't have him in the end of last season there.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
so it says a lot to him. And yeah, I totally agree with everything that Patrick said about the caliber of player that he is. And I think that the unit that we have going there between him, Gabriel, and Declan Rice, it has made us centrally so strong. And in a lot of ways, a lot of them they complement each other, you know, in their strengths and being that triangle partnership that's going on in the middle of the field there. And yeah, okay, so we could go to Barcelona or something. Patrick, what's up?
Yes. I mean, look, I just glad that we bring back the game and win and get a point. Cause the way it was going, it
Wait,
was
only
looking
win?
kind of hopeless.
And I
No, we
Wait,
get
you
a
get a
point.
point.
We got a
Like,
point.
how?
Yeah.
I see they score twice.
Duh.
I mean, they score once for them and once for us. So take it as you
John
will.
Gally disallowed goal. John Gally disallowed
Yeah.
goal.
Take it. Nah, that's our own goal now, right? They score our own goal as well. I think is what you're talking about.
Oh,
So
unlucky.
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
So
yeah,
so
that
one for
is
them and
that
one for us. That's a good thing.
Unlucky, unlucky.
Yeah.
uh
Yep.
but yeah, boy,
But yeah,
Patrick,
man, I
yeah.
mean, look, the way the game was going, honestly, I'm just happy that it come out to that point. Personally, for how the league is going, I'm
I
not
have
too upset
I have a dead
because,
serious question to
huh?
ask about the league though. Like I
I
deadly
have a, I
serious.
have a dead serious answer.
Do you think that it is possible that Girona could have a Leicester season?
No, 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 not possible. No, no, no. They don't
Yeah,
have a
that's what they said
Kante.
about Leicester too, huh?
Yeah, but they don't
That's
have
what
a
they said about Leicester
Kante.
too, huh?
They don't have a Mares. They have the fake Mares, the guy from
Hey, they
Ukraine.
have Christian
And
Is
Stuani
actually
Savio
too.
too.
They have Savio.
No, they have Daily Blind dog. Like
Savio,
They have
Savio
Daily
nice.
Blind.
that's random.
Savio nice.
They have them two
But boy,
Ukrainian brothers. I can't
Yeah,
remember the name, but
Ukrainian
Yeah.
boys, yeah.
yeah, the fake Mares now, like the Tis Gov, whatever. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Listen, no, I don't think. I think they will be finishing around fourth because the strength of the teams under them are too good right now. I honestly think, look, Barcelona is still having a decent season, and across the next 3 games is where I really think we flip the script because the next we have to play Atleti, Girona, and forget whoever. I forgot who the other team is, but whatever. That's where we flip the script. And I trust, at least in the league, I trust that we beat Atleti and Girona because again, this is Spain. This is where we win our games. When we go to UCL and whatever, L whatever, okay,
Mm.
cool. But you see in Spain, dog, most of the time, I think it's okay to be confident in Spain
Yes,
if
yes,
you're a
yes,
Barca
yes.
fan.
Yeah, what
Anyway,
115 remember?
um,
Dog, that third game is Valencia too, you know.
Valencia has been weaker than they seem this season. I really think we beat Valencia easy. I think Atleti is the hardest one because
Yeah.
Atleti is just so annoying. But we usually have their number, so I'll just
As well
put
as
some trust in that.
Atleti has the best player in the world of 2023, bro. And he won the game for them
The
again this week.
21st best player in the world, sir.
Mm-hmm.
It's true bag on the
Factos.
dog.
21st best player.
He have the best.
The 21st best player in the
Dog,
world.
they have Dog Griezmann win a game for them again this weekend, as he did last week, and he
Mm.
continues to do it. It's and
Yeah.
like
See, but the thing is, when we play Atleti, all logic does just go out the door for some reason. I don't know how. I can't tell you how many times I've watched. I've gone into not gone into that game, but like as a fan, going into that game thinking like, dog, Atleti is looking so good and we just keep losing and drawing it. And then it would just be like 3-0 out of nowhere and it does never make sense. But somehow that's just what has happened. Somehow. All right. So I have no logic to say how we gonna beat Atleti, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do. I will be surprised if we lose actually. I'll say it like that. I'll take it, but I'll be surprised.
and
Um yes, listening.
I was going to say on the other hand, the team that seemed to have a new injury every day in the international break currently sits up for the league until Girona play tomorrow, and they got back players from injury to go on the score sheet. Should Bellingham
Yeah.
scored again,
Bellingham!
again,
Bellingham!
and Rodrigo
Yeah, I
scored
mean, look, it is
twice
what it is,
again.
right? It is what it is. Look, yeah, Madrid just have this annoying habit of either winning games convincingly or losing and then turning that into a win. It is very annoying watching them and play, especially as a certified hater because I think I've hated them like my entire life. I really can't stand that team. Everything about it. It have few players on the team that I even like. I used to like Bellingham, and now somehow I don't. And it doesn't even make sense because he's a good player, but I actually don't
And
like him now.
and
So
now
mhm.
Rodrigo is now on 12 goals and assists this season.
Yeah.
marking 7 goals, dog. Like you talk about, like dog, Jude has more than stepped up. Like that is understood. But in terms of like a forward stepping up to take up the vacuum of Benzema leaving, fair play to
Yes.
Rodrigo with it. Like
Not true. True.
and like even more so he's stepping up in that time where like dog he has 9 goals and assists in La Liga in 968 minutes played, dog. Like that is just over 10 games, you know? Like that
Yeah.
is a goal return nearly every game for him. And like that is being bypassed by the fact that belly goal is happening, right? Which again,
Yeah.
fair play. But in terms of asking players to step up, and he is stepping up in a season where Vinicius is missing a bunch of time as well. You know? So
Yeah.
like fair play to
But
him.
now Vinicius back
and
though,
it,
so
and not having a prolific striker as well.
Yeah.
yeah. But it
So
is getting a little scary now that Vinicius back. But all I will say though is that I think La Liga is going to be a real nice league to watch. Now, that race from for top
title.
spot
Yeah.
is I mean it definitely on because yes, Girona somehow find themselves in that mix and fair play to them. They've
They
been
on the
playing
tree too.
really well. But it's a season where Madrid looking pretty good. I mean, Barca started the season strong, fell off a little bit. I hope we catch back form. And Atleti looks so nice to watch as well. This is the
Yeah.
first time I think I've enjoyed watching Atletico Madrid play because in the past it's just been real boring games,
You
but
know,
it's real
dog.
fun to watch.
I know Salek see this. I don't know if all you heard see this. So like over the international break, I don't know if it was our old clip, but a clip of Simeone was circulating, and he was talking about it's not that he wants to play boring football or counter-attacking football, nothing like that. He says that great coaches recognize what clubs need, and that great coaches watch the couple of players that they have and watch how to get the most out of them. And he said, like, as the players changed over the years, he's tried to change the football along with it. And like, if we watch the football now, they are doing great, but they were doing great
Yeah,
10 years ago too, and the
Mhm.
football has a lot of differences in it. So like I think it also shines light on like the range and the spectrum that comes under Diego Simeone as the manager, and respect to him
yeah,
for that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I also think that he's also stayed true to his principles. As I'm now looking at the league here, and they've only conceded 12 goals, and the only team
yeah.
that has
Are
conceded
we going to
fewer
pretend to be
goals than them
shocked?
is Real Madrid, and that's
Okay.
9.
Yeah,
And
And
they have the second most goals in the league.
Dog, and
So
this is a athletic that is not even that defensive anymore, and they still
yeah,
keep any second best
yeah,
defensive record in the league.
yeah. I mean, like if you look at the back line for Atletico Madrid, you're not gonna recognize any of them. Like I think I saw a game they won. I think like before the international break, Jimenez was on the bench, and
No,
I was
then this
like,
be subbing also Yonchu.
yeah,
Like
and I was
what?
like, I do,
yeah,
how I feel about Turkish players, but you
Yeah.
know,
And then it have a left back that the left back is actually nice though, Lino. But I don't
yeah,
yeah,
even know if he's like I don't know what he is. Like
yeah,
I don't know if he came as a striker or as a goalkeeper or what. I don't know what he is. He don't really
yeah,
look like a left back though. So
and they have this next fellow too. What's his name? Hermoso. He's pretty good too.
yeah,
yeah, Hermoso
Nah,
is
yeah.
having a good
yeah.
season. Yeah,
So was
Yeah,
real good at Sociedad, and then came to Atletico,
yeah,
Yeah.
was kind of
I didn't even
lost
know he
for
was
a
at
little bit,
Sociedad, to be
and
honest.
yeah.
now like you see one again. Talk about players that had a little shining light moment when injuries going on. Andre Lunin made his fourth appearance for Real Madrid this week and kept his second clean sheet.
Yeah, man.
So their third choice keeper
I
is
tell
is
you,
is what they
Arsenal
live
should
with.
buy him. Totally Arsenal
Dog,
should buy him,
listen,
dog. Tell you, man.
dog, at this point, dog, you can suggest maybe 100 keepers to me, and I'll probably take nearly all of them at this point, except Sanchez,
Mm-hmm.
though.
Oh, boy, man, keep a clean sheet,
Serious.
boy.
Right.
Man, keep a clean
No, you
sheet.
know what's the
And
funny thing,
the
but I
ownership
can't lie.
demand.
Like at the end of the game, the Hashimoto, you can't see this weekend. At the end, dog, like he had grabbed the cross and he went down, and all the players celebrated him. Can't lie, dog, that really touched my
Dog.
heart, boy. But like, after what I see that man, I mean, I also think part of the reason that I guess I kind of have to afford Raya this too. That is make some of these mistakes is because they feel like this could be their one and only game to make an impression sometimes. Or
Mm.
and I like dog that is on Atata, right? Because he created that scenario and he had to live with it. But like good Jesus boy, like I love Ramsdale and I do think that objectively, I think that he is better than Raya. But like he have no say to get back in this team, like at all. Like he don't he nearly kick it into the
I
old freaking
mean,
goal.
Let me ask you a question. Right? Did you watch the interview where he basically out himself as saying like, yeah, I have big time ADHD. I can't concentrate for more than 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah,
Did you see that? You see that interview?
yeah, but dog,
Why would he say that?
yeah, but
Like,
dog,
why would he even let that out into the public?
yeah, but dog. The thing is, right? Like, especially keepers like top clubs, dog, them don't do anything for like 80% of the game. Yeah,
It don't matter though. That's
But
that putting
why
a
would you
target on your back,
say
boy.
that though? But
They
why
put a
but
would you
target on
yeah,
say
your
but
back,
that
dog,
boy.
though?
here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Concentration has not been his issue though. So they say like this was something that was coming up in games and was like a weak point or something. Because like even more
Hmm.
so away from home, dog, this man was great. Like especially away from home, I would say we used to get better performances from this man. Where ironically he was loved to have been locked into games and stuff. 'Cause, like I know we draw there last year, right? But like dog, again, though, this man performance at Anfield last year was fantastic, you know, like I like so again. I agree that I think keeper was a position that we could upgrade on, and like with the exception of men like Saliba, I feel like this might have leak into the world class thing, but with the exception of men
Go start it. Go
like
start it. Go start it. Go
Saliba,
start it.
Martinelli, Rice, and Saka and stuff like, I think I am all for upgrading positions that can't be upgraded, right? Like if there are better players out there that like I don't run no accounts, right? So I don't really care what it costs. Bring them, sure. Why not? As much as I really do like Ramsey, I really like him. I like how he's been part of this journey that we've been on. I all for upgrading him. But the man we bring in, I know that we are literally top of the league, and I know that he's been keeping clean sheets, and I know that there's some attacking stuff that he adds to the game. But like overall, I still don't see the total positive that he's bring. And again, I'm all for upgrading, but I don't think that was a clear upgrade then. You know, I would admit that
Sideways move.
there are departments in his game that I think that he's better than Ramsey. I totally agree with that. But I think that there are other areas like goalkeeping that Raya that is not as good as Ramsey lot. And you didn't see that. Like if I ask all you to name me two saves or like you remember Raya making, all you can tell me, like that is the issue. I know one, and it was the Brendan Johnson shot that he scuffed. Like
Oh yeah, true.
it's a thing. Again, I all for it. Bring me to still, some shit like that. All for, you know. He man must be fed up having to be Superman every single game in order for them to win a game. Because he defenders is either
I
fall like
mean,
flies to injuries or that he is consider a bag of shots. The man probably want to break
of all
down.
the players to call, I don't think Ter Stegen is leaving Barcelona though.
Yeah, well, that is his own problem, right? I was just saying
That's not
if
his
he
problem. He's
wanted a
playing at
change of
literally a bigger club
scenery,
with a richer history, better players,
yeah,
better
all
weather,
that.
better
If you
club.
want to
I
get
mean,
paid better and not have to be Superman every week, come line with the dogs. That is what I was saying. In all seriousness, though,
I don't know if
like
Arsenal is pay better, dog.
no, we just pay. We just pay our players. We don't have players
No, we
complaining
reward our players with
that
who's
they
though.
have
We
how
pay
much
with who's.
Frankie had for them like 16 million or something.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. What was that?
I didn't even hear what you say.
It's a good thing I didn't hear what
That's
you
good.
say.
We had
That's
say
good.
now self I want to know what you
I
say.
can't
So,
repeat it. I can't repeat it. I can't repeat it.
basically, I just said that compensation could come in all different type of ways. Like some people get money, and some people get reward with like success and trophies
Some
and thing.
people,
You know,
or some people, let's get bread. Some people, let's get sugar. That's all
That's
I'm gonna say.
basically it. Yeah.
that's yeah. Some people just get Gavi mommy. Wait, what? Who's
Good lord, dog. All right, nice. So
So,
moving on. Moving on. Orlando Dembele finally scored for PSG this weekend.
yeah, yep, finally.
Yeah. Um, as good lord, Patrick, Jesus Christ. I agree though that La Liga is a
I
league
like them
dog.
belly dog.
No, it's not a dog. I'd recover from what you say just now. Also AC
Uh,
Milan won 1-0 this weekend. And actually, big game in Italy was between Juve and Inter. And I don't know if you all saw the
1-1.
goals, but like, it was
Yeah.
Yeah,
two
so yeah,
great
yeah.
finishes. Like Vlahovic off of his weaker foot and an instant reply from Lautaro. Dog, something about that Inter jersey does make Lautaro turn into a monster
Yeah.
I know,
because
right? But different color blue stripes,
Hey,
and he's
hey,
trash.
no. Let me tell you, the Argentina shirt, right? It have black and white stripes. This one have this
Uh,
have blue and black stripes.
uh,
That's the only difference, eh? All I'm
okay,
saying, eh?
okay.
All
That
I'm
is
saying.
okay. That makes sense now. That makes sense. Yeah.
um
No, but one thing now, Lautaro in Italy is
And
too
same.
good, and then for his
everywhere
own
else though.
country, I don't
Not
understand.
even
I
just
literally
there.
don't understand
Or
what
like a
is
time
wrong.
in the Champions League when you can think about Lautaro too, big I can't even think of that. Like even in the
He's
Euros
real
last
miss
year.
by dog,
Yeah,
but
but
he does
Yeah.
real miss in the Champions League.
Hey, but and then Thuram assist the goal?
Yes, dog. And dog, honestly,
Bro, Marcus Thuram is having a
nah, big
a
swing,
season,
bro.
bro.
Yeah.
He's having a
season, dog.
Season,
Like
boy.
he dog, I feel so bad that none of we mentioned this man in signings of the season because he has
I
been
did. I put him in honorable mentions.
no, I mean like
Yeah.
in the, I mean he probably could have made the top 10 then. But like
To be fair, it have a lot of people that should have make
yeah,
everybody top 10,
yeah.
but we
Yeah.
didn't
If you
put
look
him, to
at
be
him
fair.
now, then yeah.
Roma won
Yeah.
3-1 this weekend despite the threat of Mourinho about to be sacked. That you would think that Mourinho being under fire would probably have him in like 11th, where Lazio actually sit. But with that win, they are 5th and only 3 points off Napoli in 4th, who also won this weekend. With Cavalier continuing his returns recently, and he was on the score sheet again for them. Moving over to the Bundesliga, where on Friday night, um, the Hurricane team managed to scrape a 1-0 win via Hurricane as he continues to just rack up the score sheet. However, we keep marching on, and Leverkusen won 3-0 away from home to win, Brendan, and managed to stay top of the league. And Dortmund managed to be part of a 6-goal thriller for once and not be on the losing side as they won 4-2 this weekend. Where Fulkrug
Mm-hmm.
was on the score sheet, Marlin was on the score sheet, Bino Gittins was on the score sheet, Sabas was on the score sheet as they prepare to go to the San Siro this week
Mm-hmm.
in possibly the strongest
Hmm.
spot in that group.
Can I just say something? And I really feel like
Yes,
we all
puppy.
need to need to put this on the pod.
Yes, puppy.
We all did a great disservice to Alex Grimaldo. That man,
Yeah, boy.
that man is probably one of the best fullbacks in the world right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know how I know that? Have you all seen Benfica this season? Have you all seen how terrible they are?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't even
Do
think
you know?
about
Do
that.
you know how important that man was to Benfica? He was the reason Benfica used to be a good team, you know. And look at what he's doing
Yeah.
at Leverkusen right now. Like that man is an insane player. It is crazy that he ended up at Leverkusen, but I am
Six
glad he
million.
did because he get to
For
play every
six
week and we get
million.
to see how good he is.
Yeah.
For 6 million, And
Isn't that
Bro,
just
I'm telling you, we should have all had him in sign this season, but we just didn't like big, I know they had Boniface and whoever, but like we should have all put Grimaldo, bro, because he is like spitting in everybody's face, including Barcelona, who had a chance to get him back, but it
No,
didn't
that
take
there
him.
are people that
isn't
he could have gone to. Cause it's just something about Grimaldo. It's just that the hype he had before, and for some at a period where we kind of fall from it, but it's like nah, because
yeah.
people used to have him up in any conversation like when we used to talk about the likes of those attacking
Mhm.
fullbacks, and now you see in this man now when he make that move to Leverkusen, people was like okay, well this just that move. He just make that move, he just
Mhm.
get out of Benfica. Dan,
and
this
I
man's
think
playing
like it's
unbelievable.
important that they probably have the best wing pairing in the world right
They
now
do, they
between
Yeah.
him
do.
and Frimpong.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I know people probably
Frimpong.
Yeah.
accustomed to how good Frimpong was because he doing this a little while now, and he really did come to the forefront of Xabi Alonso with Xabi Alonso, sorry, last year. But the two of them together continue to be a really good partnership.
But dog,
And
my question is, how is our left back affecting the game like this? Like, I
Because
mean,
the man is real good, dog.
could
The
I do
man
a
is
my
real good.
gosh,
comparison
boy.
so that Sally could give eczema? This kind of remind me of Marcus
We get into the
Alonso.
end of the pod, you know.
Marcus
We get into the
Alonso.
end of the pod. Oh, okay. Well, in terms of impact, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
He was impactful, yeah. But I just think Grimaldo is an exceptionally technically
Yeah, and
gifted
I think
footballer,
that's what
dog.
Yeah.
Marcus Alonso
Like you
probably
know,
Yeah.
wasn't.
like he's a maverick. He's more a maverick in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
But dog Grimaldo is a crazy player, dog. I don't know. I can't. I
Oh, hey,
honestly, truly,
however,
but I
both of
can't see
them
him.
is free kick scoring left wing backs.
I know, and I can't see. I really can't see Grimaldo staying at Leverkusen next season. You know, I
Yeah,
can't.
same.
I really
Same.
can't.
He'll probably
Somebody
come for the
coming in for
Prem.
that
Yeah.
man, boy. And they had and Leverkusen
And
gonna make bank on that man.
can I say this too? Like the expectation is that this is the do or die year for the project now, because the expectation is that Xabi Alonso leaves next year,
Yeah.
to go Madrid. Although Madrid are actually currently in talks to extend Carlos, so we don't know where that may
Ooh,
go.
I see some different stories.
Um, I saw wait, it is Relevo, whatever the name is. I saw they had said that now, but um, either way, what I was going to say is like there are also stories that Full and Mendy gonna get shipped out. Then there's also stories that Alfonso Davies is lining up to go Real Madrid. And you know what's the one thing the Bundesliga like to do? Is to feed their
Just
players
send
Take
them to Bayern.
to
send them
Bayern.
to Bayern.
And so I feel like
Straight to
that could
Bayern.
be a scenario that we could see pan out.
Could be.
Yeah,
It could be him or it could be Raum. Because Raum also having a
a
really, really good
great
season.
season too,
Yeah,
yeah.
So,
but think about this, right? But think about this, right? That Bayern looking at Alfonso Davies, but I would honestly I would let him take Grimaldo instead, because like
I
Grimaldo
agree.
would like he's also Spanish, so I mean
Hmm.
like like that would make more sense for Real Madrid. I know he's like a
Yeah.
Barca academy product, but at the end of the day, like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta take that. It's not like
Yeah, yeah.
players who play for Barca never play for Real before,
Yeah,
so
no, that
you know.
facts.
Cool. With that being said, guys, I think we'll wrap it up there, because I was told we was gonna wrap up things very quickly, but yet we are here 2 and 20 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes in.
You talk
Well
nice.
done, guys.
If you really need to, we could run straight into them world class players. I'm always ready. So
Now next 2 hours,
You
way.
talk nice.
Yeah. It's not, it can't take me real long to explain why
nah, we got it, we got it,
somebody
we
like
got
that.
it. Because big man thing I have well no, let's see my list anyway.
Cool.
Alright.
That being said,
Are
guys,
we?
thank you guys so
Anyway,
much for
yeah.
coming out. Uh, and thank you guys for listening as always. We appreciate you guys so much. I am starving hungry right now.
Mm.
And I really need to go and get something and edit this before tomorrow. So thank you guys as always for being with us. We love you all. We appreciate you all. And we'll catch you guys next time. See you soon. Take it easy. Enjoy Champions League this week. Later.
Yep.